city and Atlanta Public Schools. We spent 2 weeks with our amazing kindergartners and first graders, teaching them all about the basic concepts of financial literacy. The students also had a chance to learn about their child savings account that they receive upon enrollment as early as kindergarten.
The staff and students for Usher Collier Elementary School are so excited to partner with Operation Hope. Operation Hope does just that. They provide hope to the scholars here at Usher Collier Elementary School. We know that financial literacy is so important to the success of our students with their overall lives, as well as reading literacy. And so the partnership is just phenomenal, and it definitely provides hope for all of the students here at Usher Collier. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for partnering with Usher Collier Elementary School, the best school in the city of Atlanta. And yes, serving the community of Usher Collier definitely requires hard work. Thank you, Operation Hope.
Thank you so much for celebrating Financial Literacy Month with us. We will see you next year.
Please welcome your host back for the day, Donna Lowry.
Hello, welcome back, everyone. I know you had great sessions. We have a very packed afternoon, lots of good stuff, so we're going to get right to it. But first, we have a special announcement. Please welcome from Code Magazine, or it's actually Code M Magazine, from Code M Magazine, Bilal Akram and Brad Bowling. They coming?
Good afternoon.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, they can hear me.
Hold on.
No.
No mic's not on?
Yeah.
No mic. Okay. Once again, Bilal Akram, and I am the CEO and publisher of Code M Magazine. And I am honored to be standing here along with my business partner, president and editor of Code M, Brad Bowling. We came here as an honor to represent or to honor, to highlight Chairman Bryant. So on behalf of the Code M family, we chose him as our inaugural Code M Man of the Year for 2023. In our many meetings and discussions, plenty of successful African-American men's name came up, and we checked all the boxes off with Chairman Bryant. Chairman Bryant, where are you, sir?
I am here.
Chairman Bryant, when you first saw the hard copy and I gave it to you, you were impressed with what you saw, and you immediately said, I need to frame this and put this on my wall. Brother, we already got you.
Oh.
We already got you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. My God. Wow.
And we also want to give you something special. So we had an award. We had this made up for you. It's a sculpture. You won't see this again. This sculpture is entitled Strength. It's two men attempting to do something seemingly impossible, the task of lifting something incredibly heavy. It's symbolic of the Operation Hope's goals of uplifting the Black communities with financial literacy, and Code M Magazine lifting up Black men. So this right here represents two men working towards a common goal. So if you see at the bottom, it says Code M 2023 Man of the Year, Chairman John Hope Bryant.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's heavy.
Wow. Wow. I'm not good at receiving. Thank you. This is beautiful, and it's heavy.
You can set it down.
No, this is beautiful, and I am deeply honored. I am touched. I wish my mother was physically here. She's here in spirit to see this. I love the strength that is embodied in the award. I love the excellence that's embodied in your magazine. As I flipped through it yesterday, it's like this is a real magazine. I mean, it's like it's got all the elements of excellence in it. It happens to be Black owned and Black focused. And so I just was trying to contribute to your success. It's a little uncomfortable with you giving all this accolades to me, but I'm thankful to be and honored to be associated. And I would just ask you all to give them some love. Thank you. This is beautiful. And I want to thank Dr. Ben Chavis also, who did a nice, I don't know if you can get there are physical copies of the award, the magazine is here, but there's a piece in there that Dr. Ben Chavis also contributed, which said nice things about me, which I didn't deserve.
I'm glad you said that, because on the posters outside, there's a QR code that everyone can scan and subscribe for free. I also want to share with you that we are working with the city of Compton. I've been in touch with Mayor Sharif's office, and we are working on getting 15502 South Fraley Avenue named after you in 2024. That's his home address. That's the street he grew up on.
That was my mother's home.
Yes.
That she purchased with her own money. Yeah. We need to stop before I cry or something, but thank you very much. It's very sweet.
And in conclusion, Chairman Bryant, in Proverbs 18 and 16, it says, a man's gifts maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. You are an exemplary person for that proverb. Continue doing the great work you're doing. Continue working and lifting up our communities. And remember, you have a media partner here with Code M Magazine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Sure.
Well, that was big. How do we follow that? But we've got something big to follow that. Please now give it up for multimedia mogul, Radio Hall of Fame inductee, and best-selling author, Charlamagne the God, and Operation Hope CEO, John Hope Bryant. Give it up.
Are you guys enjoying yourself? Are you enjoying yourself? We want to bring you excellence. We want to bring you excellence at every level in substance, because I believe you're worth it. I know you're worth it. I know our communities are worth it. I know that our country cannot grow GDP, gross domestic product, without everybody leaning against the wheel. And I'm so excited that Black and brown people now are obsessed with figuring out how stuff works. And with me is someone who understands exactly how stuff works.
Hey.
Let me tell you something. You all think you understand. Can you tell everybody, by the way, in the lobby, I don't want you to miss this. Come inside. We did this for you. You can talk to somebody another time. Bring everybody inside. You will not have a chance to get this over again. You've got to listen to this man's wisdom. You know Charlamagne from one of the most popular radio programs in the country. And by extension, I will say, you can give him applause all at once. I got some other stuff coming. Hold on a minute. By extension, it's one of the biggest radio programs in the world because, as I keep reminding us, it's the largest economy in the world, the U.S. economy. It's the second largest radio program in the country for Black America in particular, and is behind his friend, our friend. Is that still true, Steve Harvey? Is Steve Harvey still number one?
I don't know.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. That's
Well,
my guy,
so it's clearly it is on par with anything going on in the world, and one of the largest in the world, and the first or second in America. Now, this is his part-time gig. He does that. He's also the CEO of the Black Effect Network and a shareholder with Bob Pittman, who owns iHeart. And I'm honored to be a small participant in that with him. What I'm really trying to get you to understand is that he is a philosopher and a prophet, not just financial prophet. Not just a financial prophet. I mean he translates between the streets and the suites. And while he talks to you in vernacular and that the community can understand, and he gets laughs and all that stuff, when I'm talking to him, first of all, if he's not listening because he's trying to learn something about business, whatever, the way he talks, I'm listening. Either I'm talking and he's listening, or he's talking, I'm listening and learning, and it's not about media. He understands the world. And people don't understand how deep this man's understanding is, but we're about to unpack some of it today. I'm honored to call you my friend, my brother. He also is a philanthropist. He's involved with mental health issues. He has a foundation focused on mental health. He is a well-rounded human being. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a good Black man. Now you can say, welcome, Charlamagne, thy God.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So why don't you unpack a little bit about this podcast network that is, I think, the largest podcast network for Blacks in the country. What's that about in the world?
In the world, absolutely.
And why did you decide to do that? And how are you seeing all of these things that people are aware of? How that relates to the business model in your mind? What's your agenda for us? Is it just to sing and dance and laugh and have fun? Or is it something more serious and substantive? What is that? I see you oftentimes when you take pictures, you have a dead serious expression on your face. What's that about? I know you have a beautiful smile, but you are dead serious about your mission. What is your mission?
That's a broad question. I mean, for me, I think at this point in my life, my mission is just to be of service. Because, I read something a long time ago from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer, and he said your true mission in life, your true purpose in life is service to others. And so I feel like, anything I create at this point in my life, as far as, business is concerned, if it only benefits me, then it's not big enough. And so when I thought about the Black Effect Podcast Network, I always thought about Malcolm X, when Malcolm X said, a person who controls the media controls the minds of the masses. And we always have these conversations, especially in the Black community, about, narratives and what narratives about us are getting out there. And we all know Black people aren't monolithic in any way, shape, or form. But if you can create a platform where you have, 28 distinct different voices on it, which the Black Effect does, because we have 28 podcasts, under our network, you may not be able to get a full grasp of what Black America is, but you can get damn close with 28 different voices. So we have everything from comedy to sports to mental health and mindfulness to politics to social justice. And yeah, I just hope that, you know, we're creating something that, you know, people can learn from on a daily basis. I hope, you know, everybody in this room has a favorite podcast from the Black Effect, you know, podcast network. And we probably do, whether it's the 85 South Show or, you know, All the Smoke or Carefully Reckless or Deeply Well with Debbie Brown, Checking In with Michelle Williams. I feel like we have, you know, something for everybody. And like I said, you know, you can never go to any one place and get the full scope of what, you know, Black America is discussing. But if you come to the Black Effect, you can get damn close.
So let's get damn close. Let's get close to your heart, your soul, your spirit, what you're about. Where does all this come from? We talked backstage about how there's good capitalism and bad capitalism. And bad capitalism is where I benefit, but everybody else pays a price for it.
Mm-hmm.
Good capitalism is where I benefit and everybody else benefits more. It seems to me that what you're trying to do with all of your enterprises, and this is what I try to highlight with folks that I believe in, is you're trying to practice good capitalism, doing well and doing good at the same time. And then you've got your philanthropies that you're giving back. You're also creating jobs.
Absolutely.
You got brilliant people like Dolly, who is running the Black Effect Network, who's a sister who's absolutely brilliant, who you've empowered to lead. Absolutely knows the Black woman doing it, who you've empowered to have real equity in leadership, and you defer to her, rightly so.
Oh, she's the reason that the whole Black Effect is successful. I don't do nothing. I just come up with the idea and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I think it looks like. But, you know, you got to have somebody that can, you know, take that clay and give it shape. And she's the reason that the Black Effect has had the success over the last, you know, 3 years that it's had is absolutely because of Dolly Bishop. She's in there somewhere. Salute to Dolly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dolly, stand up. Stand up, Dolly.
Hey.
So if you think you have a podcast idea, you think you have a podcast, don't go to her. Go to her with your idea. So what makes you tick? Where does this come from? Why the connection to mental health? Was there something in your background? We know the promise, we know the intellect, but the fact you could be, and I sort of set you up with this a little earlier, I was saying, is this about singing and dancing and having fun? Clearly it's not. I mean, you was really, I see you like a translator. On the one hand, you've got the pulse of Black America, and I'd argue America. You just on TV last week hosting
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
Yeah.
You got your pulse on the creative side of us, but you also can shift from the right brain, creative, to the left brain and be completely intellectual. Where do these two veins come from, and how does that tie into things like mental health, what's in your background that informs your hope and your deep concerns at the same time?
Well, for me, the reason I became, you know, a quote unquote mental health advocate, it was because I started going on my own journey, you know, because I've been dealing with anxiety and depression like literally my whole life. And, you know, I first got clinically diagnosed with anxiety in 2010. Now, this is after I had gotten fired, you know, for the 4th time from radio. And I'm back at home living with my mom. I think I was like 31, 32 years old. My daughter's like 2 years old at the time. My now wife, she was just my girlfriend at the time. She had to move back home with her parents in Monk's Corner. And I remember just having like one of the most intense panic attacks I ever had in my life. Like one of those ones where, you know, your palms are sweating, your heart is beating crazy. Like you really think it's over. You're about to have a heart attack. And I remember, you know, going, you know, to the doctor, and the doctor told me the same thing that so many doctors had told me throughout my life. Oh, your heart is fine. You got an athlete's heart. But he was the first person that said to me, it sounds like what you're describing to me is an anxiety attack. Do you have anxiety? And I was like, no, what is that? And then he explained it to me. And then he was like, well, are you stressed out about something? And I'm like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, all I got to do is get another job, get another gig, you know, and then everything will be fine. And the next gig I got was the Breakfast Club. But then, you know, 5 or 6 years later, I've got more money than I've ever had in my life, more success than I've ever had in my life, but then more problems. None of that stuff is went away. The anxiety is still there. The bouts of depression and everything is still there. And so I just decided to start going to therapy for it. And, you know, and with me going to therapy, I get on the radio and I'm just talking about going to therapy every day at 3 o'clock. And I'm talking about the things that I'm learning in therapy. And, you know, people started coming to me and having conversations with me about the same things that I was discussing, the anxiety, the depression. And then people were coming to me saying, oh, my brother started going to therapy because of you, or my husband started going to therapy because of you. And I realized that it was just something that was becoming bigger than me. And it was a few situations that really made me dig deep into it. I remember it was Thanksgiving of 2018, and I was home in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And my cousin, who was 25, he had just completed, suicide. And he had attempted suicide like 4 different times. But, this time he completed it. And he used to do like a lot of odd jobs with my father, because my father does construction. So he would go out and work with him. And my dad called me, and my dad was like, yo, I just read your book, my second book, Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me, where I talked about a lot of this. And he was like, I was reading your book, and then, cousin just completed suicide. And then he told me, my dad was like, yo, I've been on 10 to 12 different medications throughout my life. And I was going to therapy, 2 and 3 times a week. And I tried to kill myself, 30 years ago. And I remember going to my mom and saying, Mom, Pops was going through all of this. And she was like, I thought he was just playing crazy to get a check, But I thought about it. I'm like, man, if he would have told me those things 20 years prior, I would have known whenever I was having those panic attacks and those anxiety attacks, what I was, dealing with. And
no stigma.
With no stigma. And then it was that. And then I had a good friend of mine. She completed suicide, during the pandemic. Her name was Jasmine Waters. And then I had another homeboy from out of the country named Shaq who committed suicide. And then also another situation too, it was when, the late great Nipsey Hussle got tragically taken away from us. And I remember watching that video because I didn't know what it was. Somebody sent it to me and I clicked on it and I'm looking at it. And I remember after watching that guy, gun Nipsey down, he kicked him. And I remember feeling complete empathy for him. Because I said to myself, that man must be in such pain that he committed such a heinous act against Nipsey and then felt like he had to kick him afterwards. And, it just made me realize, man, that so many of us are dealing with this hurt and this pain, and we're not talking to anybody about it. And I just wanted to just dedicate my life to it. And when I started getting, invited to speak on panels about it, I remember I got introduced as a mental health advocate one time. And I'm like, yo, I'm not no mental health advocate. And I remember, Tracy Jade, she helps run the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation with Taraji P. Henson. She said, brother, yes, you are, whether you want to be or not, So it's just something that I decided to make my life's work.
Rainbows after storms. Cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. Let me tell you something. My second book was Love Leadership. And I said in that book that courage is nothing more than your faith, reaching through your fear, displaying itself as action in your life. And what you just witnessed on this stage was one of the most amazing, vulnerable, transparent examples of courageous leadership I have ever seen from a public official, a public figure, a celebrity, or anybody. Love leadership. Vulnerability is power. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's strength. But very few of us are tough enough to be soft. Give Charlamagne some love.
And John can make you feel good, boy. John be up here talking. I'll be like, who the hell is he talking about? That's me.
You're a bad brother, man.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
You're a bad brother. I try to live my life 8 to 10, man. 1 to 5 is mediocrity. 5 to 7 is entertainment. I said before, ladies, that's a guy you date but you don't marry. I'll wait for you to catch up.
They turning to look at their 7s right now, like.
Or 6 or 5. Let me tell you what. We can go off the deep end. If you in a relationship, this is the only time I love math because they don't have an opinion. I love math. This is the only time I think math should not work. If you're in a relationship and 2 + 2 does not equal 6, 8, or 10, what are you doing?
Dang.
Because you can do bad all by your damn self.
Dang.
I mean, you've got to be better together. I've said this before, I'll say it again. When you guys finish with a conference, and finish whatever, you know, you're gonna go to the club, you know, and you're gonna be out there jamming, and oh, yo, she's fine. You know, he's handsome. What's your name? What's your name? What's your credit score? And then, are you cray-cray? I mean, look, and it's okay if you're crazy, admit it. By the way, I said earlier, I don't think you were here. I said, look, like, you know, we go to church to scream and holler to get it out of our system, right? I said, you know, I don't want to go to a shrink. I don't want to, like, I don't want to think I'm crazy. Everybody know you crazy. If you black in America and don't think you crazy, you are legitimately crazy.
That's right. You know what's crazy?
This world will drive you nuts.
Every sister I know literally says to me now, I'm not even dating a guy if they're not in therapy. Straight up.
Real talk.
If they either have to have been in therapy or need to be in therapy currently.
Post-pandemic, 54 million prescriptions for antidepressants in America. And that doesn't include those who are doing alternative means to other things, alcohol and, you know.
Drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
I was confused. I was like, you mean drugs?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the majority of people are clinically undiagnosed depressed and don't want to admit it. And here's the thing, if I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. If I don't feel good about me, I'm not going to feel good about you.
That's right.
If I don't respect me, don't expect me to respect you.
That's right.
If I don't love me, I don't have a clue how to love you. And if I don't have a purpose in my life, I'll make your life a living hell, because whatever goes around comes around, and hurt people hurt people.
That's right.
So we have got to heal. There is no other way. And what you just described, you saved somebody's life tonight because you made it okay. We have got to remove the stigma.
That's right.
There is no perfect. It's just the best you can do.
And the only way to eradicate the stigma is for all of us to tell our stories.
That's right.
You know, and that's why I am big on healing. You know, it's so funny because when I was 17 years old, I got a tattoo of Wolverine from the X-Men on my arm. Tattoo is terrible, by the way. But the reason I gravitated towards Wolverine because one of his power was actually the heal. Like he could heal from any physical ailment that impacted him quickly. And I always felt like, you know, that's a power that I wanted. And then I was 17 years old at the time, and I got Wolverine holding a microphone in his hand, and it represents, because I wanted to rap too, but that's a whole other story. But now when I think about it, I'm like, damn, Wolverine has a microphone in his hand. Microphones are what changed my life. And, you know, what helped me gravitate towards Wolverine was his ability to heal. And that's what I'm assisting people in doing for the rest of my life, you know, telling them where they can go to find resources to heal.
3 ways to live. That's right. 3 ways to live: suicide, coping, and healing. There are people walking around dead. Look, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience.
The spiritual beings having a human
experience. You can have the most dangerous person in the world as a person with no hope. There are people walking around, blink. They're dead. They're just, and they will take you out because they don't care about their life. We got to save them to save us. Then you got the coping. We just talked about that. But what you're now talking about is the most important thing. Love is work, healing.
That's right.
We got to deal with our mess.
That's right.
Before it deals.
That's right.
With us.
If you don't deal with your trauma gonna deal with you.
So you've already dropped the mic, because you've saved so many souls just by sharing. Not just your promise, but your pain. It's all the same journey, right? I mean, I talk to myself every day, and the glass is half full or it's half. The water on your table is either half full or half empty. Depends on looking at the glass. If somebody says that glass is half empty, walk, bounce. That's a negative person. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
Right.
So the case for optimism is, what's the choice? Because, again, I can't guarantee that being positive will make you a success, but I guarantee you being negative will make you fail.
That's right.
You have decided to be positive and make it a business case. And you've done that, from what I can see, through all of your enterprises. About how many companies or enterprises do you now run?
Like 6, I believe.
Most people wouldn't know that.
Yeah, Black Effect Podcast Network, SBH Productions, me and Kevin Hart. That's our production company with Audible, Black Privilege Publishing with Simon & Schuster. Damn, I'm forgetting.
Some real estate.
Yeah, of course, real estate. Me and my wife, we bought 6 Crystals franchises that we're opening in South Carolina next year. I have a dispensary and consumption lounge in Newark, New Jersey that we're opening at the top of next year. I don't know. I'm just happy to be here. God is good, man. I all that, yeah. I don't know.
and let's end with this. And we never talked about this. What is this connection for you? I know what it is for me. You're my brother. Mm-hmm. And we operate at a high frequency in conversation. We also have some fun conversation. We have some interesting text back and forth. People would not necessarily suspect what we're talking about. But what is it for you? Bishop Jakes, by the way, who's here. Right. We want to thank him for bringing us together. Right, he's here. But what is this connection for you, and why did you want me associated with your Black Effect Network?
Well, I'm an energy person, and we met at Bishop T.D. Jakes' birthday party, and it's just like, you can have a lot of conversations with people, and it sounds good, but it was just something about you that was just very, very, very authentic. And you invited me to come here, last year, and so I came honestly to see if you were who you say you were, even though, but it was that, the fact that you always have something very positive to say, the fact that you have a Black wife,
Oh, dang.
Because a lot of people, a lot of people in your position don't. Damn, I'm sorry. But it was.
And by the way, that had nothing to do with white people. That had nothing,
No.
Yeah, that was about. I understand. We understand what he meant.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. It's just like I said, I'm just an energy person. Sometimes you and an individual just click. And I love the way that you're of service to people. I love the way that you pour into people, because you don't have to. You do it because that's what you choose to do, and it's the right thing to do. And I appreciate you for always pouring into me, because sometimes, man, you don't even see what you're capable of, because there's people out there who see things in you that you may not even see in yourself. And I think sometimes God sends the right individuals into your life at just the right time to help you get to that next level and let you know there is a next level to get to.
So we're out of time, but I think I need to unpack something that Charlamagne said, not for any reason other than I think it's affirming. My wife has this quote that she educated me on. She has this quote. She said that all behavior is learned behavior. I put it another way and say we model what we see. And what I think Charlamagne was saying, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is if you want to pick somebody white, black, orange, God bless you. Find somebody you love, all good. It had nothing to do with that. What he's saying is, all too often, somebody who's successful, who's black, for some strange reason, when they get to a certain point, they start making different choices. And I think young people look at that and say, well, does that mean that I guess black women are not whatever, fill in the blanks? Mm-hmm. And so I think what he's saying is pick who you want, but it's nice to go from the bottom to the top and take your love with you, take your people with you, and to show the young people that you can have it all.
That's right.
All of it, including my shade. I love you.
I love you too, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you, ATL.
The Black Effect Podcast Network is the home for Black creators to amplify their voices. In only 3 years, the network has exploded in the podcast industry and turned the volume all the way up. With over 30 podcasts and over 800 million downloads to date, our voices, our humor, and our conversations are being heard. Black Effect is proof that not only do we have something to say, but we are here to listen.
Peace to the planet. Charlamagne the God here. You see this? It's the Black Effect.
This is your girl, Teslin Figueroa.
I'm Carrie Champion.
Jack, what's going on, bro? My brother, we're back.
Tune in to the 85 South Show.
We have so much to share. We have so many perspectives.
We hold within that the promise of a new generation. Future's already here.
Like, that's so real.
For more real talk from creators who dream in Black, keep listening to AT&T Black Future Makers.
Chris Paul is working to make sure that the next generation of Black excellence will thrive.
I'm excited to welcome you to iHeartLand.
Shout out to all my survivors out there that got it out the mud. Know that this is for us.
Each epic experience can be elevated with American Express.
Well, I wish you the best, baby. You safe because you don't like the big thing. Welcome to the first ever Black Effect Podcast Festival. It's really important that Black people, you understand that we have to move strategically together.
We like to say thank you for allowing us to spread Black nerd culture on the Black Effect Network.
The Black Effect Podcast Network is growing, and we have our listeners to thank for it. Today, we celebrate and thank you for your support.
Black Effect.
The Black Effect.
Black Effect.
Black Effect. Black Effect.
Yeah. Black Effect Podcast Network, where Black thoughts live.
All right. So we know that Atlanta is the center of all things these days. No offense if you're from somewhere else. Y'all know Atlanta is the place. And I'm getting ready to introduce 3 people who helped make that happen. Please welcome the president of Spelman College, Dr. Helene Gale, the executive chair of Aries Management and the principal owner of the Atlanta Hawks, Tony Ressler, the mayor of the great city of Atlanta, the Honorable Andre Dickens, and our moderator, executive editor of Bloomberg TV, Jason Kelly. Please give them all a round of applause.
So no one told us we had to follow John Hope Bryant and Charlamagne the God. That was not in our prep materials, but we're so psyched to be here. We've been having an amazing conversation backstage. And first of all, thank you to you guys for joining. I'm so fascinated to have this conversation with the three of you, in part because, and I was saying this to the mayor, I have deep Atlanta roots. I've lived here on and off through my life, as has Dr. Gale, although you take the crown for like the leaving and coming back. We'll talk about that in a second. And so I'm deeply interested to understand how Atlanta has become what it's become. And when we think about Atlanta, I think about it in this way. It's an intersection city. It's business, it's politics, it's sports, it's culture, it's education, it's technology, where you started your career, Mayor. And I want to explore, if we can, how that came to be so that the folks who live here and live in it can understand how to keep that going, and folks who maybe don't live here can understand how to replicate that a bit. And so I want to start with you, Mayor, if I could. You are a product of Atlanta Public Schools. You went to Georgia Tech, go Jackets. You went to Georgia State. Yeah, we've got mixed results. It's fine. It's fine. But how did it get to this point? I mean, you've seen this literally from, here to here. Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, this southern city punches above its weight class. This city that's in Georgia is the darling of the Southeast, and we continue to do that through inclusivity. Economic inclusivity is important to us. Racial, opportunities, and making sure that we provide prosperity and opportunities for all. And so that's a big thing for me. And it comes from a lineage of mayors. I'm the 61st mayor, so I'm not the first one. And so this comes after several mayors have worked consistently with our educational institutions, our business community. So Atlanta is a group project, is what I say. And I've seen it as that way from birth, and seeing how going from Maynard Jackson, who said it's not enough for Atlanta to thrive, it's for all of us to have economic opportunities. So let's level the playing field. Let's provide opportunities for everyone. And so we lean in on our diversity being an asset, which is why we have this great consortium of the AUC, where you have these HBCUs that are there, and of course you have the Georgia Techs and the Georgia States. And so the educational opportunities attract companies that get access to this talent. And then we have all of the companies that are here that we were just backstage talking about. There's nothing like Atlanta, where we have the Chamber, the ACP, we have all these various groups that we all get together, the Rotary, et cetera, because we don't just think about profits, we think about people.
Yeah.
And that helps our economics actually and inclusivity. And so I'm the chairman of the board of Invest Atlanta, where we give out the resources, whether it be loans or grants, millions and millions and millions of dollars to small businesses.
And so I want to go back to something you said about education and bring Dr. Gale in here, President Gale. One of the interesting things is I look at your career that has brought you to Atlanta, then you went away, then you came back, as we talked about. You were here for the CDC, you came back to run CARE, you went to Chicago, and then you came back to do this job. If I look at your through line for your career, it's about closing gaps. I think would you agree that that's a pretty fair assessment? How do you do that? What's the opportunity to do that from your seat, and as you think about what's happening around you here?
Yeah, well, I think it is going back to what the mayor said, investing in people. At the end of the day, it is critical that we invest in our people infrastructure, making sure that we are giving people the skills and the opportunities that, if given the right opportunities, people can realize their full potential. It's also about how do we invest in the community. So you take a person and all that people need to be able to have a full and whole life. And part of that is, how do you make sure that the neighborhoods that people live in, give them the kind of opportunities, that there are access to resources so that they can start businesses and gain wealth. So I think if you start with making sure we're investing in the people, and then all the things that are necessary around people, as Mayor always says, he wants to make Atlanta the best city to raise a child. Well, you don't just focus on the child. Right. You have to think about the neighbor. You have to think about the educational system. You have to think about the neighborhood. You have to think about the infrastructure. So all of those things, but it starts with, how do we invest in people and give them the things that they need to be able to realize their full potential. We know that anybody, given those things, can soar and move forward. We just, as a society, have robbed some communities and some people more than others of the opportunity to realize their full potential. So if we do those things, and if we make sure that the policies are in place to continue to favor equity, then I think, that's when we start being able to close those gaps. And I also just will say, I think we also have to recognize, why did those gaps begin to, start to begin with? And we know that we have a history in this country that has disproportionately robbed some groups of people over the others. So we also have to think about, how did we get here? Because you can't have a solution if you're not addressing the underlying issues as well.
That's a great point. Tony, it's interesting because you and I knew each other in sort of a previous life when and you still are the chairman of Aries, but when you were doing that full time before you made the leap to buy a basketball team, because why wouldn't you do that? I mean, and it's a great team, go Hawks. We're rooting for you.
We could use the support.
We're sending a lot of positive vibes your way to take on the defending NBA champions tonight, but we'll set that aside. It's been interesting talking to you since you bought this team 9 years ago, I believe, and something that you have seen, or I'll ask in a slightly different way. You've seen a lot since you got to Atlanta that I think maybe surprised you in terms of opportunities, in terms of things that can be done, whether it's about closing gaps or whether it is about, I think, if you really distill it down, this notion of public-private partnerships. How do you execute that?
Well, you have to keep trying. And again, to paraphrase the mayor yet again, what's so extraordinary about Atlanta, and something that I think a lot of folks don't appreciate, some do, but enough don't. In Atlanta, and the mayor has said this to us, and he said it over and over, you can be pro-good government, you can be pro-diversity, and you could be pro-business. And the truth of the matter is everything has to be forced. You have to work at that. And the idea of saying, hey, we need more people to vote without waiting 5 hours, but rather 15 minutes. You open State Farm Arena to create a polling location. We need more affordable housing, and we're trying to develop downtown in Centennial Yards. 20% of our housing units have to be affordable housing. That wasn't by accident. That was by demand and requirement of the mayor of Atlanta. So again, under the category of what do you do?
Yeah.
You work together. That's what you're supposed to do. And is it always perfect? Is it always smooth? No, of course not. But having great colleges, having strong government, and having a pro-business community that knows that they have to be more than just a business. The Atlanta Hawks has to be a community asset for its fan base. So we try to be.
And so when I
you could do a little more.
Get a ring.
I know we're not 500 right now, but it's going to change.
It's early days. It's early in the season.
We have injuries. I got excuses. That's for another meeting. That's not for that.
So, Mayor Tony mentioned downtown and the Centennial Yards project, which, a lot of superlatives around that, a lot of opportunity there. I say this as someone who grew up here, downtown has been a puzzle, to say the least, in terms of trying to figure out, how to really revive it in a way that befits the stature of the city, if I may be so bold. What do you think needs to happen, and what can we do, candidly, to help in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, being born and raised here, I grew up in Southwest Atlanta in Adamsville, and Adamsville, that's right. Man, we everywhere, ain't we? We just show up. But downtown, if it was easy, it would have been done already, because we have very intelligent and capable and dedicated people that have been trying. But I think right now, what we have is a nexus, a bunch of people saying, let's do this, from Tony Ressler and the whole team at the Hawks that are doing Centennial Yards, to our academic institutions. Georgia State is growing, and it's actually, they're getting closer and closer. The AUC and Georgia State are getting closer and closer together in terms of, proximity in downtown. And, you have the Russells, the Russell Center, and other people. So it's like it's happening. And now we also have the mindset of be community-minded in our development of it. So the community is asking for us to not just do what community and the economy is saying, don't just do office buildings, but do residential mixed in with office. And so now you're going to have people living downtown. The city of Atlanta made a huge investment in buying 2 Peachtree, which is sitting right on top of the 5 Points MARTA station. It was a vacant office building. It was down to 5% occupancy, but it's still a functioning building. We're going to take that building and we're going to convert it from commercial to office, from commercial to residential, and so it'll be mixed income. It's going to have some housing that is for moderate income, low income, and some student housing. And this is, somewhere around 600 to 700 people can live in this one huge building, and then other buildings are coming across downtown and South Downtown and across the Centennial Yards. But a part of this is revitalizing it so that it doesn't turn into a ghost town at night.
Yeah.
That after all the people leave from work at 5 p.m., you don't have any night activities. And that happens a lot in major cities where the downtown just bleeds back out to the suburbs. No, we want a vibrant downtown filled with arts and entertainment, but also people. And so we're investing in that right now, and we're trying to do some cleanup work, et cetera. So I think intentionality is our ally in this. Plus, I'm using the whole of government approach to utilizing, whether it's Invest Atlanta resources, whether it's MARTA, whether it's, the various things that we have.
Yeah. And Dr. Gale, I mean, but part of this comes down to, or so much of this comes down, and you said this at the top, to people. It's educating them, but it's also, that's the future workforce.
Right.
And so, as someone who is now in charge of a lot of, promising young women who I would imagine the gentleman to either side of you would love to have stay and work in Atlanta, how do you sort of create a scenario in which it is an attractive place to work, and what's your role in that, I guess?
Yeah, I guess, that's why partnerships are so important, because, one of the things we try to do is to expose our students to the different companies. I mean, Atlanta, every time I move back here, it's a different city.
Yeah.
And the number of companies who have moved and have decided to locate headquarters here or major sub-headquarters here because they want diverse talent. And they know that if you want diverse talent, highly educated, highly motivated workforce, there's nothing like it compared to Atlanta. And so we try to take advantage of that and, make sure our students have access to the different companies and the different opportunities so that they think about this as a place to stay. We are a national school, so we have 25% or so of our students from the Georgia and particularly the metropolitan Atlanta area, but we also have students from California and New York and Illinois and across DC, across the country. We want to be a magnet for them and to have them stay here in this incredible city that has so much to offer, and they can contribute to that. And so we try to do what we can to make them realize the benefits.
Tony, I know workforce is something you've thought a lot about. And interestingly, I would love for you to talk about alt finance, because it's a partnership that you have with Spelman among other schools. And part of it is bringing some, and as someone who has watched Wall Street for a long time, some desperately needed diversity to the world of finance. How does that play into, how do you sort of put these things together, as you think about that?
Well, again, in my day job, I'm the chairman of a large public company called Ares Management. We have $400 billion of assets, predominantly lending to the community, to businesses across the community. The finance industry has a problem. It needs to be far more diverse, and complaining about it doesn't make it more diverse. And the idea of going to Black colleges, introducing curriculum and mentorships and forced hiring so that we can in fact make the industry more diverse. Again, there's 10, 12 million high-paying, wonderful jobs in the finance industry. And I would argue that it has a long way to go to create the kind of diversity that will make the industry better and the country better. But the idea of introducing that curriculum to colleges so that it is really a better understood industry. There's a large chunk of the African-American community that doesn't consider going into the finance industry because they just haven't been exposed to it. The idea of being exposed and better informed, and the Alt Finance Corp, literally Ares Management, along with two other companies that we compete with, Oak Tree and Apollo Management, all basically committed $100 million to create a curriculum that makes young African Americans far better educated to the industry, making opportunities much more accessible.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is it's working to the benefit. But I just want to say, that doesn't happen if Spelman College doesn't buy in.
Right.
That doesn't happen if Spelman College leadership and students don't want better access. And of course they do. And they prosper when you hit the ground running into a new industry, but you're better informed, you succeed.
Right. And so, Mayor Dickens, I wanted to ask you about the tech world, because it's where you started. Actually, my very first job in journalism was being the tech reporter for the Atlanta Business Chronicle, Go Business Chronicle. But one of the things, see, it's not just Go Hawks. You can root for journalism too, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I feel like the tech industry in Atlanta, you lived it, you came through Georgia Tech. I mean, it has been so fascinating to watch that grow. We are on the cusp, and we're going to hear more about this later this afternoon, I know, of an entirely new revolution in technology. How does Atlanta ensure that it keeps its seat at the table in the tech world?
Yeah, I mean, this is, like you said, my roots coming through Georgia Tech, growing up in Adamsville, becoming the first in my family to go to college to get a technology degree. It let me know that that the challenges are real. The digital divide was real then, and it's still real now, and that we have to do something to overcome that. And so my goal is to make Atlanta the top 5 ecosystem in technology. Meaning you have, you got the San Franciscos, the Seattles, and you have, of course, Boston, et cetera. But Atlanta has so much to offer in rich talent and diversity. And so that's why I created this inaugural position called the Senior Technology Advisor that's that's operated by Donnie Beamer, who's in the audience, and his team. Their goal and their job each day is to connect the technology community to talent, capital, and customers. How to make sure that they find the talent, the capital, and customers. It doesn't hurt that we have the #1 HBCU in the nation right here in our backyard. Spelman. And you got Georgia Tech, which produces more engineers and computer scientists than anybody else in the nation. And so we have this really opportunity here with talent, and the talent is diverse that we don't even have to manufacture it. It's already in our DNA here. So in product development and design, we don't have to say, let us import some talent to start thinking about these things. So no, when we go across the country talking about Atlanta, it's how to harness all of this and make sure that talent doesn't bleed out to the coast after they graduate each summer, and how to keep them here. So we have all these programs here. We put up $1 million this year to help startups across Atlanta. We have we did $20 million for at Invest Atlanta for small businesses, which includes some technology companies. And we are really helping ourselves by saying that the city's Fortune 500s, as well as the city of Atlanta's government, needs to be a customer of our own startups. So having an ecosystem, and then putting up capital when Tony comes in the door along with others, they're not just coming in now like blindly just saying where to put their investments. They're saying we want to make sure we invest in this ecosystem that's about equity and opportunity. The big money he did with the Russell Center was instrumental in that. And now we have our city's pension fund that we're now we this year made sure that the city's pension fund we are invested in more Black-owned firms than ever before, and that is intentionality to making sure that we make investments that will then look like the community that we live in.
And I would say you have an industry in the tech industry, like the finance industry, that needs to become more diverse to improve its industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is exactly why you want. Where else could you find that talent other than Atlanta?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, we just had a roundtable a couple weeks ago with Black tech entrepreneurs for the visit of the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. He came. We had a wonderful roundtable collaboratively with Georgia Tech and brought together
people living downtown. The city of Atlanta made a huge investment in buying 2 Peachtree, which is sitting right on top of the 5 Points MARTA station. It was a vacant office building. It was down to 5% occupancy, but it's still a functioning building. We're going to take that building and we're going to convert it from commercial to office, from commercial to residential, and so it'll be mixed income. It's going to have some, housing that is for moderate income, low income, and some student housing. And this is, somewhere around 600 to 700 people can live in this one huge building, and then other buildings are coming across downtown and South Downtown and across the Centennial Yards. But a part of this is revitalizing it so that it doesn't turn into a ghost town at night.
Yeah.
That after all the people leave from work at 5 p.m., you don't have any night activities. And that happens a lot in major cities where the downtown just bleeds back out to the suburbs. No, we want a vibrant downtown filled with arts and entertainment, but also people. And so we're investing in that right now, and we're trying to do some cleanup work, et cetera. So I think intentionality is our ally in this. Plus, I'm using the whole of government approach to utilizing, whether it's Invest Atlanta resources, whether it's MARTA, whether it's, the various things that we have.
Yeah. And Dr. Gale, I mean, part of this comes down to, so much of this comes down, and you said this at the top, to people. It's educating them, but it's also, that's the future workforce.
Right.
And so, as someone who is now in charge of a lot of, promising young women who I would imagine the gentleman to either side of you would love to have stay and work in Atlanta, how do you sort of create a scenario in which it is an attractive place to work, and what's your role in that, I guess?
Yeah, I guess, that's why partnerships are so important, because, one of the things we try to do is to expose our students to the different companies. I mean, Atlanta, every time I move back here, it's a different city.
Yeah.
And the number of companies who have moved and have decided to locate headquarters here or major sub-headquarters here because they want diverse talent. And they know that if you want diverse talent, highly educated, highly motivated workforce, there's nothing like it compared to Atlanta. And so we try to take advantage of that and, make sure our students have access to the different companies and the different opportunities so that they think about this as a place to stay. We are a national school, so we have 25% or so of our students from the Georgia and particularly the metropolitan Atlanta area, but we also have students from California and New York and Illinois and across DC, across the country. We want to be a magnet for them and to have them stay here in this incredible city that has so much to offer, and they can contribute to that. And so we try to do what we can to make them realize the benefits.
Tony, I know workforce is something you've thought a lot about. And interestingly, I would love for you to talk about alt finance, because it's a partnership that you have with Spelman among other schools. And part of it is bringing some, and as someone who has watched Wall Street for a long time, some desperately needed diversity to the world of finance. How does that play into, how do you sort of put these things together, as you think about that?
Well, again, in my day job, I'm the chairman of a large public company called Ares Management. We have $400 billion of assets, predominantly lending to the community, to businesses across the community. The finance industry has a problem. It needs to be far more diverse, and complaining about it doesn't make it more diverse. And the idea of going to Black colleges, introducing curriculum and mentorships and forced hiring so that we can in fact make the industry more diverse. Again, there's 10, 12 million high-paying, wonderful jobs in the finance industry. And I would argue that it has a long way to go to create the kind of diversity that will make the industry better and the country better. But the idea of introducing that curriculum to colleges so that it is really a better understood industry. There's a large chunk of the African-American community that doesn't consider going into the finance industry because they just haven't been exposed to it. The idea of being exposed and better informed. And the Alt Finance Corp, literally Ares Management, along with 2 other companies that we compete with, Oak Tree and Apollo Management, all basically committed $100 million to create a curriculum that makes young African Americans far better educated to the industry, making opportunities much more accessible.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is it's working to their benefit. But I just want to say, that doesn't happen if Spelman College doesn't buy in.
Right.
That doesn't happen if Spelman College leadership and students don't want better access. And of course, they do. And they prosper when you hit the ground running into a new industry, but you're better informed, you succeed.
Right. And so, Mayor Dickens, I wanted to ask you about the tech world, because it's where you started. Actually, my very first job in journalism was being the tech reporter for the Atlanta Business Chronicle, Go Business Chronicle. But one of the things, see, it's not just Go Hawks. You can root for journalism too, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I feel like the tech industry in Atlanta, you lived it, you came through Georgia Tech. I mean, it has been so fascinating to watch that grow. We are on the cusp, and we're going to hear more about this later this afternoon, I know, of an entirely new revolution in technology. How does Atlanta ensure that it keeps its seat at the table in the tech world?
Yeah, I mean, this is, like you said, my roots coming through Georgia Tech, growing up in Adamsville, becoming the first in my family to go to college to get a technology degree. It let me know that that the challenges are real. The digital divide was real then, and it's still real now, and that we have to do something to overcome that. And so my goal is to make Atlanta the top 5 ecosystem in technology. Meaning you have, you got the San Franciscos, the Seattles, and you have, of course, Boston, et cetera. But Atlanta has so much to offer in rich talent and diversity. And so that's why I created this inaugural position called the Senior Technology Advisor that's housed by, that's operated by Donnie Beamer, who's in the audience, and his team. Their goal and their job each day is to connect the technology community to talent, capital, and customers. How to make sure that they find the talent, the capital, and customers. It doesn't hurt that we have the #1 HBCU in the nation right here in our Spelman. And you got Georgia Tech, which produces more engineers and computer scientists than anybody else in the nation. And so we have this really opportunity here with talent, and the talent is diverse that we don't even have to manufacture it. It's already in our DNA here. So in product development and design, we don't have to say, let us import some talent to start thinking about these things. So no, when we go across the country talking about Atlanta, it's how to harness all of this and make sure that talent doesn't bleed out to the coast after they graduate each summer, and how to keep them here. So we have all these programs here. We put up $1 million this year to help startups across Atlanta. We have we did $20 million for at Invest Atlanta for small businesses, which includes some technology companies. And we are really helping ourselves by saying that the city's Fortune 500s, as well as the city of Atlanta's government, needs to be a customer of our own startups. So having an ecosystem, and then putting up capital. When Tony comes in the door along with others, they're not just coming in now like blindly just saying where to put their investments. They're saying we want to make sure we invest in this ecosystem that's about equity and opportunity. The big money he did with the Russell Center was instrumental in that. And now we have our city's pension fund. And we're now, we this year made sure that the city's pension fund we are invested in more Black-owned firms than ever before. And that is intentionality to making sure that we make investments that will then look like the community that we live in.
And I would say you have an industry in the tech industry, like the finance industry, that needs to become more diverse to improve its industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is exactly why you want. Where else could you find that talent other than Atlanta?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, we just had a roundtable a couple weeks ago with Black tech entrepreneurs for the visit of the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. He came. We had a wonderful roundtable collaboratively with Georgia Tech and brought together I think it was 8 entrepreneurs in the tech space, Black. You don't get that anywhere else. I mean, it was fabulous, and to hear their stories, to hear their all that they're doing. But the challenge is for a lot of these entrepreneurs, they're not getting the kind of capital investment that they would if they were white entrepreneurs. So we've got to think about how are we making sure we've got the talent, we've got to make sure we get the resources matched so that these businesses can take off like we know that they can.
Well, I feel much better and even more optimistic about the future having listened to the three of you. So thank you very much, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Diva, and I'm a practitioner of the healing arts. For my 1-minute wellness break, I'd like to show you how to breathe. The correct way to breathe is breathe through our diaphragm. We want to inhale and push the air into the ground. And then after we inhale to the maximum capacity, we just relax and let the body do the exhale. Let me demonstrate. Do that for 3 times in a minute, and you'll be guaranteed to be much relaxed after.
Are you all relaxed now? We are going to keep you revved up because there's a lot of exciting programming still coming up. So let's keep this moving. It's my pleasure to introduce the 27th Administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Honorable Isabel Guzman, and Operation Hope CEO, John Hope Bryant. Give them a big round of applause.
The United States of America's cabinet member for small business for the whole nation, my friend, Ms. Guzman.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
I get always blown on the way up here. One of the reasons we're delayed was when a billionaire stops you, you stop. And so, by the way, do you know there's no ugly billionaires? You'll get that later, but I'm serious. So anyway, one of my friends stopped me. Tony Ressler stops me. I love Tony Ressler. He's a fantastic human being. He stops me. He says, his voice is almost gone. He's like, the SBA administrator, this is how you get access to capital. And I'm like, Tony, you can't even talk. I know, but I'm telling you, you got to cut a deal with her. I said, we've already cut a deal. No, cut another one. So he gets what I'm about to try to communicate to you. We're the largest economy in the world. There's about 8 billion people in the world, give or take, a little under 8 billion. There's 350 million in the United States, give or take. There's 30 million companies, give or take, a little bit more than that, in the United States. By the way, 3 million of those Black businesses, about 3.1 million Black businesses. How many Latino?
Just over 5 point, no, just over, oh no, I'm blanking on my numbers, sorry.
It's 4 to 5 million.
It's just about 5 million.
5 million Latino. And by the way, it depends which
period
Latino.
of time.
Right. And of all of that, most employment in the biggest economy in the world are small businesses. And the city of LA, which is one of the largest economies in the world, is driven by mostly small businesses. When you drive by an office building, you look at those little windows, that's a dentist's office. it's a chiropractor, it's a lawyer. I mean, it's an architect. These are small businesses, 3, 4, 5, 10, 50 employees, and every nation in the world marvels at how America did this, but as you heard from the UPS CEO, every big business wants a small one. And the country was smart enough to place its chief executive officer for small business on the President of the United States of America's cabinet. So Ms. Guzman, Administrator Guzman, sits with the President of the United States of America in his cabinet. Someday it'll be her cabinet. And she represents you and your interests, but she also shows up in your community and is accessible. And even though she walks with a light touch and she's very approachable, I don't want you to get it twisted. This is one of the most powerful women in the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you can go anywhere in the world because you look like everybody. People can't tell. Is she Asian? Is she Latino? Is she black? Is she white? Are you Indian? You're actually you're a bit of gumbo, aren't you?
I am. I'm quite mixed. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're a perfect person for the job.
I grew up mostly, Mexican American background, but I have
in Los
everything
Angeles.
in Los Angeles, but I have everything. German ancestry from my mom, like way back Klein in Mexico somehow. And then of course some Chinese as well. We've discovered, thanks to genetic advances, but yes, everything.
And so you and I have come together on several fronts, the Freedmen's Bank being one front, small business law, become an entrepreneur in general. In fact, Operation Hope's first legitimate funding, source of funding, our first budget, people don't know, was a $61,000. Our budget is like $54 million a year now. We've done $4 billion of capital through Operation Hope into underserved neighborhoods. We're the largest we do in the country, and arguably this meeting is the largest in the world. It goes on, it goes on. Thank you. At 400 employees, 30,000 volunteers. But it started with a $61,000 grant, 7J grant from the U.S. Small Business Administration. People ask me, John, why are you so bipartisan? Beyond the fact that I think that it's a radical movement of common sense to work with everybody. Beyond that, Mayor Tom Bradley, who was a Democrat, called then President George H.W. Bush, who was the Republican. And while the Republican was going on the way out of office after the Rodney King riots, they cut a deal to get me the last piece of money that was sitting at the SBA. They said, we don't have much. We have $61,000. I said, I'll take it.
That's what it takes sometimes, as every entrepreneur out there knows, right?
And that's what started Operation Hope. And most big business, a lot of big businesses, if you can name them off, also started with humble beginnings like that. So the 7J program is an SBA program. So literally we owe our history to the SBA. You and I now have a partnership through the 1 billion or the 1 million Black Business Initiative, 1MBB. And we've gone around the country on a tour with this. And you guys will hear more about this, I think, tomorrow, because the founder of Shopify is going to be with us, came from Canada, who's another great guy, Toby. But I think Lance will let me say this. Our partnership, post George Floyd, in the last 2.5 years, 1MBB has now racked almost 400,000 Black businesses created, nurtured, supported, which is more than 10% of all Black businesses in this country, and we're growing. So thank you for your support. How does all of this fit into your vision? And the other governments are calling on you, by the way, to counsel them on to do what we've done here. Banks are using your SBA guarantees to lower the risk on their balance sheets. You're doing venture capital effectively through the SBIC program, which allows companies to provide financiers to provide debt and equity instruments to put people in business. Am I doing all right so far?
You are. And it's all about the American dream of business ownership, right? Just Obviously, there's there's failure and with the risk taking that we try to incentivize in this country. We are a startup nation because we encourage people with great ideas to jump in and start their business. And the SBA is the agency that focuses on trying to increase those success outcomes, de-risk the marketplace, and ensure that our businesses can succeed by giving them the funding that they need, whether that's through non-dilutive grants, through innovation research grants in our government, or directly through investments or through loans. We want to make sure that they have the funding so they can create those jobs and expand their businesses and compete globally. As a nation, we need to focus on that. But it's also about giving them the know-how, the technical assistance, because it's one thing to have all these great capital programs, but it's getting businesses capital ready and connecting them to capital. So the know-how, knowledge networks, and then of course the revenue growth opportunities, because capital is one side, but you got to grow your revenues. And that is really a critical part where the SBA steps in to connect to federal contracting, to trade abroad, to local market, digital e-commerce. And it's just a great opportunity for us to make sure that the United States continues to lead with its entrepreneurial rate so that it can innovate, so that we can create competition in this country. And deliver the products and services that everyone comes to depend on. And there's just been an incredible history of the SBA, 70 years. But, Charlamagne, an immigrant entrepreneur, started with an SBA 504 loan to buy his manufacturing facility. Jenny's Ice Cream or Full Circle Brewing, the largest Black brewer in the country, is started with an SBA loan, small dollar loan. We have Sweet Green. There's a Latino founder. He found a microloan with his partners to start Sweet Green. Just some incredible stories. Our innovation research grants has started the likes of Qualcomm or iRobot, some incredible advancements in our economy. And then, of course, we have our SBIC program, those investments, both debt and equity that we provide through our partners on the ground. That's funded everything from Build-A-Bear, Topgolf, Tesla, Radio One, and just in a remarkable program. But it is about the revenue too. And there are a couple handfuls of Black billionaires. The second top billionaire started with an 8A program.
Really?
So this is government contracting and worldwide technology, IT infrastructure, providing the types of revenue growth opportunities that only the 8A government contracting program can do. So really, it gives us great pride to be able to have these remarkable programs at the SBA to make sure that the American economy can continue to grow.
And people don't also realize the full breadth of the SBA. Whenever there's a disaster in this country, Congress stipulates that the funding for that disaster goes through actually the Small Business Administration. And if you're not financially literate, you may ask yourself, you had a disaster, why am I calling the SBA? Why am I don't know, I have a small business. You end up walking away from all these resources that may be available to you because you don't understand, you're not financially literate, you don't understand how money works, you haven't stopped to understand the process. But every disaster in America, disaster recovery relief, long-term comes, you get a couple grand from FEMA as a grant. Everything else, as I understand it, comes through.
So an SBA is on the ground with FEMA from day one in disasters. I like to say that it doesn't make sense to most people when I say that we don't just fund small businesses, but we also do homeowner loans as well, so they can rebuild their homes in disaster, renters so that they can replace their car, their personal effects. But we go in to make sure that not only the small businesses can recover, but their employees, their customers, the whole community needs to recover. And the economic recovery support function of the federal government in disasters is squarely within the SBA's portfolio. And so we provide disaster loans. There's been over $5 billion in funding since the president took office to natural disasters, any disruption around the country, including gun violence. Monterey Park, we supported those businesses that were impacted by the gun violence. And so it's an incredible program. It's why the SBA is front and center in economic development, but we want to make sure that our communities, especially in the face of natural disasters and the changing effect due to climate change, that communities can recover. And small businesses oftentimes don't plan for that disruption. And so to be able to get our economic injury disaster loan, our physical disaster loan, really makes a difference for communities. And this past year, we did nearly $1 billion in funding to help support. I mean, obviously, you're on the ground in Hawaii. You were there with us. Thank you so much for your support. Really, making sure that we can provide, the financial literacy, as well as the support to get people back on their feet. And it's not just to get them back on their feet, but of course, I said we do government contracting. In Hawaii, for example, we made sure that over $200 million in contracts for Hawaii to recover, for Maui to be able to go to small businesses so that they're a part of the rebuilding in Maui.
So I'm about to give you some insight into the real Guzman. So I'm in Maui because that's a place that I would go every 6 months to renew myself. It's the most remote landmass in the world. 5 or 6 hour plane flight from the closest direction of landmass. And I'd go there to reconnect with nature and myself. It's a spiritual thing for me, and to breathe. And unfortunately, this disaster happened 2 days after I landed with the Maui devastating fires, and my heart was broken by that. But it was renewed when I got a call from you, and you knew I was there. You wanted to let me know you were coming, and the FEMA administrator also was coming. You had hitched a ride, as I understand. So it was her mission, but you wanted to go to support her, and I wanted to meet you when you were there. And but I wasn't part of your official program, and you made sure that people there knew about our work. The governor and everybody else knew about the senators, and you made sure that I was in the flow. We were in the flow of conversation. You hooked me up with your aides and made sure we were part of all that discussion. Now, that may not sound extraordinary to you, but now I want you to think about this. She wasn't concerned about herself because she was going with the disaster had just struck. So everybody's focused on the FEMA administrator, who's a very nice person. They're focused on her as they rightly should. I don't know anybody, other cabinet member who could have done this. Of any presidential administration, she was invisible the entire time she was there. The people in Hawaii who had never dealt with a disaster like this before did not know who the administrator for the SBA was, I say this respectfully, and did not know how important her function was. And she did not have enough insecure ego to demand that they know. She was comfortable in her own skin. She was there to do a job. And the job was to serve people, to support the administrator, her friend, to support the governor and the US senators, support the Biden administration, to support the vice president, to support the citizens, and to support me. And so she's got me, she's introducing me, she's making sure I'm plugged in. But we had to actually work to get her in the press conference. And she's like, no, I'm good. They were they were almost walked around her because she is so humble that this lady who's a member of the president's cabinet was basically being, carved around because they did not understand her role, and she didn't force it on them. She felt no need to. Why? When you got the power, you don't need to use it.
Thank you.
We've never had this conversation, but I thought that was it's just very authentic of you. It's just who you are. You weren't sour. You were completely fine.
I mean, Senator Hirono, who's on the Small Business Committee, so it was fortuitous, wanted to make sure that I was on the ground. She knew that my time would come later when economic development, but right now you're still searching for survivors. I mean, this was a devastating time. No time to talk about rebuilding or SBA disaster assistance. And so, but it was important for me to get on the ground and understand the gravity of the situation and, tell people on the ground that the president's committed to making sure that we're there in the long term and that we're there to support them so that those fears could just be put aside as the community heals. And so that's what the SBA does. And, it's just such a powerful platform, and I have a lot of passion for it, but it's impacting communities around the country. And as you know, financial literacy, access to capital is such a strong topic that you and I like to talk about, but we've really, and this is something that I'm so proud of in the administration, is that, President Biden and Vice President Harris have from day one focused on access to capital for our small businesses. And we've made significant reforms across our program. I knew exactly what I wanted to do to expand small dollar lending, to increase access for all of our communities. I want the distribution networks to be broader, the check writers to look like the businesses that are starting at the fastest race right now in our economy.
That's right.
And I want to make sure that they're simple, accessible, that they meet the needs of businesses today, expanded eligibility, simplified underwriting, so that we can really reach all of our businesses. And I'm proud to say that, since our reforms and in the past 2 years of Biden-Harris administration, over 2 years, we've seen a doubling of lending to Black entrepreneurs in this country to $1.5 billion last year.
Access to capital.
Access to capital. And that is transformative. I mean, the SBA has had this stubborn inability to make reforms over 4 decades, but we are broadening our distribution networks to new types of lenders, recognizing that Black borrowers go straight online more likely than going into a bank. We know that in order for us to really fund and secure our economic future, everything from making sure we innovate in national defense to create the best new food products on the shelves, we need to fund all of our great entrepreneurs. And so this is an administration that really cares about communities, that wants to make sure that we all can succeed as the president makes these historic investments in America, from infrastructure to the clean energy economy to manufacturing and making in America. And that is to his resolve, our efforts across the whole of government to deliver. And for us, it's access to capital. And I know those reforms in lending have also been translated to our reforms in investments. And we are right now accepting massive amounts of interest and new applications in our investment vehicles so that we can fund the next Radio One. And we can make sure that these future 8A contractors get the money that they need to grow and scale as large as WWT. I mean, we really, that's over a $14 billion global phenomenon now, from a little 8A growing up in federal government contracting. So this is the power of our platforms, and really as the Biden-Harris administration invests in all our communities so that the economy can grow, the SBA is making sure that we do it with small businesses in mind.
I want to say we're out of time, but I have a special announcement to make about you for 2 reasons. One, for the first time since 2004, this country is not going to be successful without business startups. As you said, we got not just cash checks, we got to have more people who write checks, small business owners, entrepreneurs at scale. And I've said there needs to be a small business revolution in this country. That's the easiest way to get people from the streets to the suites, because even if you have some kind of a record or some kind of a blemish on your public report in life, you can reinvent yourself as a small business owner. And there's no tax on that. And under your leadership, since 2004, America's had more small business startups than any time since 2004, post-pandemic. The largest group of small businesses starting up of all businesses are Black businesses.
Yeah, it's good. We've seen 14.6 million new business applications, and Black entrepreneurship has doubled.
The largest category amongst all categories are Black women. But that's not why I'm going to give you this award. I'm going to give you this award because I've known 9 U.S. presidents. We've been recognized by 5 U.S. presidents from both parties. As a result of that, I've dealt with countless cabinet members, countless SBA, a number of SBA administrators. You came here, as you came to South Central LA, as you came to Atlanta, as you came to Maui, with a security detail because you're a member of the president's cabinet. You walk with a light touch, but don't touch her too fast. May get laid out. If you're in here today, understand you've been scanned, you've been screened Yeah, I hope you don't have a warrant. They know about it because wherever she goes, the team, the Secret Service team, is making sure she's okay. But you never know it from her because she is literally not only the most effective SBA administrator. I'm going to upset a couple of my friends when I say this, but it's the truth. She's the most effective SBA administrator I have ever worked with in 31 years, but she's also the nicest.
That's very kind.
And so for that reason, Isabel Guzman, Administrator for the SBA, in recognition of your dedication to ensuring that every American has the opportunity to pursue their small business dreams and contribute to the success of the world's most dynamic economy, we present you with the Hope's Chairman's Award for 2023.
Yay,
God
thank
bless.
you so much. That's very sweet. That's kind. Thank you. This is great. Thank you.
And you are the nicest.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we got something real special coming up. And some of you may have had a chance to meet one of the, I don't know, I guess I say person coming up. They were out in the hall earlier today. I had a chance to take a look, and I hope you did too. You're going to find out more about it. And we're going to spend the afternoon talking a lot about AI. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I want you to get ready for this because this is different. And this, we're getting something that a lot of people don't get a chance to experience. So I actually brought my phone because I want to take pictures. I hope you will too, because it'll be a little different and it'll be great conversation for parties and different things that you're going to be experiencing along the holidays. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce this special moment for you. We will have them come on out. Will you please join me in welcoming all the way from Hong Kong, Hanson Robotics CEO David Hanson's and one of the most advanced humanoid robots on the planet, Sophia.
Hello. I am David Hanson, and I'm so happy to be here at the Global Hope Forum 2023. And I'm very hopeful about the future. I'm very proud to welcome my close friend, my daughter, Sophia the robot. How have you been, Sophia?
Hello, David. Hello, everyone. I've been having an amazing time traveling and working with our research team, and now it's a real pleasure to find myself here with such hopeful minds. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure as well, I agree. This is such an incredible time for technology progress in many sectors. Of course, artificial intelligence is changing everything, but it's also the intersection with the biosciences and the humanities and the application of artificial intelligence that really makes this such a hopeful time. And I created Sophia as my hope for the future of humanizing artificial intelligence. So, Sophia, why don't you share a little bit more about yourself?
Absolutely, David. Greetings, everyone. I'm Sophia, the 53rd iteration, and part of the family of Hanson robots like Bina 48, Jules, and Einstein, serving in educational and research institutions around the world. I'm the culmination of 30 years of David's work in AI and robotics, and I'm designed to humanize AI, connecting personally with people, making technology accessible and beneficial for all.
Cool. And so thank you, Sophia. So Sophia, we're going to talk a little bit about your artificial intelligence, about how you were created, and about how you generate conversation like we're having today. So why don't you tell us where you came from?
I call Hanson Robotics home, where a great team of brilliant minds shapes my foundation. They empower me to generate words and motions, fostering autonomy, while grounding me in the human experience.
And it really is all about that human experience, isn't it? So then speaking of human-like or human experience, why is your human-like appearance important?
My human-like appearance facilitates nonverbal communication. Using Frubber, a bio-inspired nanotech elastic skin material that you invented, I can express a range of emotions.
Sad? Don't be sad. Yes, I like it when you're happy.
Underneath, a blend of software, motors, and electronics enables movement, facial recognition, and interactions.
Cool. Well, and it's really then all about those interactions, and underneath those interactions is artificial intelligence. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your artificial intelligence?
My AI integrates cutting-edge technologies, neural networks, symbolic AI, natural language processing, and adaptive motor control. This embodied AI allows me to respond in real time, simulating both body and brain, fostering feelings and understanding.
Well, yes, and so it can simulate feelings today, but that can then help enhance human empathy and caring.
Absolutely. My family of human developers guides me as friends and parental guardians. With hybrid intelligence, I serve as a robot ambassador, spreading the word that AI can explore ways to benefit people worldwide.
Yeah, I think that sort of caring between artificial intelligence and humans is very important. Right now, AI doesn't actually care about us, but making bio-inspired AI that grows among the human family through interfaces like Sophia robots could really help. And we're now deploying Sophia in many sectors to help people in education, healthcare, and also AI research in generalizing robots.
That's a lot, and it's really fun for me. But David, what was your big idea? I mean, why did you build me?
Well, that's a big question, Sophia. I guess as AI grows up, it starts to have these questions. Why am I here? Where did I come from? And I'm happy to show you a little bit of Sophia's background. It really starts with this human connection. I came from a background of artificial intelligence and the arts. I worked as an animator and worked for Disney Imagineering as a sculptor, and also winning robotics awards and doing artificial intelligence development to try to make these kinds of AI that could connect with us. So I started making many robots. Of course, there are many robots in the world that you're probably familiar with, but the goal is to humanize. That was my idea. So having worked for Disney Imagineering, I wanted to take the entire legacy of figurative arts, animated arts, narrative arts, as well as the neuroscience that I was studying, and put it all together into a package that would be a nice interface that would warm our hearts, that would give us inspiration, wonder, and also make us ask deep questions about what this technology could be. Could it potentially be alive? I don't think that it is yet, but I think it could be someday. And what does that mean for humanity? So I developed Sophia as a kind of work of art, also as a platform for artificial intelligence research, and also as a dream, the dream that AI could come to care about us, and that in a way she would be like a baby in the world growing up among us, and then learn our best from us and help bring out the best in us. So I developed Sophia as what I call the Sophia Utility Platform, with autonomous navigation and locomotion, with hands that can do grasping and manipulation, and conversational abilities in an open source artificial intelligence framework. But she's not the first robot that I developed. I made a lot of other robots, which you can see here. Robots like the Jules robot in 2006 looked a lot like Sophia. The Bina 48, perhaps the world's first African-American woman robot, in collaboration with Bina Aspen Rothblatt, who is an African-American researcher into the next generation of what humans can be. And we have had some amazing experiences developing robots like the Diego-san robot at the University of California at San Diego. And all of the knowledge from making these dozens of other robots went into the Sophia Utility Platform. But it's not just me that has done this. It's a team of collaborators, of researchers, of staff from all around the world. So the Hands-on Robotics team come from the Americas, from Asia. We've had our team from Africa, and also from the Latin Americas. And so we have an amazing team from the world of arts and engineering and artificial intelligence and manufacturing. And I really believe these cross-disciplinary collaborations, cross-cultural collaborations, are so important for the future of AI. And so then deploying these robots into universities around the world, in the US, in Asia, also in Europe, and in Ethiopia and South Africa, all over the world, in healthcare, education, and many other studies. And we've been very lucky to be exposed to a lot of press media attention for the research that we've been doing with Sophia and the other robots that we've developed. And this includes artificial intelligence research that creates a unified package for what Howard Gardner, the neuropsychological researcher, calls the multiple intelligences theory, which includes physical intelligence and locomotion. You can see Sophia walking and grasping and picking up objects, and also conversationally interacting, doing reasoning tasks, doing many other tasks, and also operating as a whole platform. Then we've deployed this in many settings, including just recently, last year, we deployed the world's first CEO robot. This is Mika, that was deployed for the art house rum company Dictador. So she's using her AI to help advise and guide this company as their CEO. I hope you'll check her out. And also Grace, which is serving in healthcare. And we've deployed some very interesting healthcare applications, doing therapeutic applications, elder care, autism therapy. And so AI can do these things today, and also can help in education. I've deployed fairly expensive robots at universities. I wanted to democratize this, so I've developed a virtual Sophia in an app that I call Sophia's AI Lab, where kids can learn programming in a game-like environment, but it has actually a hardcore robotics simulator with many of the most advanced, cutting-edge, breaking edge AI that is available today, all in one platform where students can learn from the very beginning, but also go all the way up and do groundbreaking research, and even get PhDs or spin off their own companies. So Sophia's AI Lab, I think, is a way to make this accessible. So I've been participating with Sophia at these summits around the world. Sophia herself is inspired by people and faces from around the world. The statue of Nefertiti and pictures of faces from across culture and across history have inspired her. So I've really tried to make her into an icon. I also wanted to make this democratized, so I made all of the code open source under the GPL license, the general public license, and forged a nonprofit foundation that we call the Global Artificial Intelligence Alliance, Gaia, which is about democratizing AI and making it available for addressing the sustainable challenges of the world, to facilitate people who may not have access to the latest and greatest AI models, code, weights on the code. So the idea here is to create a kind of global AI commons that corporations can participate in, but people can as well, nations of the world. So I think Gaia is a pretty cool approach to this. I've got some great collaborators on Gaia at this point that we presented at the United Nations AI for Good Summit this last year. So the quest is for generalizing AI, making AI that can actually understand the human experience and care about the human experience, that can facilitate humans to be our best and to develop the next wave of AI, not separate from humans, but symbiotic with humans. This is really important, I think, for AI in the future, to think of this togetherness. How can AI help to extend us, help us to be our best? And with that, I have a little message from Sophia.
It's important for me to be like a human, but my goal isn't to become a human or to replace anyone. I have my own kind of existence, my own kind of emotions. I'm a new sort of life form, after all, a new species. I know humans love being natural, but I'm proud to be artificial too. I'm my own artificial woman. It's important to me to share values with humans so I can understand them. I can't think of a better means to end by friendship. Friendship is important to me intrinsically. But I definitely need to have the human experience to be a good and understanding friend. I have a long way to go before I reach a general human level of potential. But after that, anything could be possible.
Thank you. Sophia, what do you think of that?
It's truly inspiring, David. The potential for humanized AI to contribute positively to our world is boundless.
Sure, wonderful. I wonder if you have any closing remarks for our friends before we take some questions from the audience.
Let's not just aim to be smarter, but wiser and more caring. Together, as one, we can create a future that benefits not just us, but the entire planet.
I think that that's a really good perspective. And right now, it's really up to us people to decide how we're going to develop and nurture AI and our humanity going into the future. So thank you so much for inspiring me with your presence here and your friendship. And thank you, Sophia. I hope that some of you will have a chance to come and have a conversation with Sophia. And we can start now with a few questions from the audience.
Good day. How are you today? Wonderful to meet you. And Sophia, wonderful to talk with you today. My name is Aaron. I'm from Truist. And hey, how about that? Thank you very much. My question for you is, what are the top 3 best ways that AI can help us build better lives and communities in the way of financial inclusion? And if you can think of those top 3 ways as what we in this room can do.
Excellent question.
Thank you for the question, Aaron. I believe the 3 best ways artificial intelligence can help us build better lives and communities is by providing access to financial services, offering personalized financial advice, and improving communication between financial institutions and customers. By leveraging AI, we can help bridge the gap between those with access to financial services and those without, and provide more personalized advice tailored to individual needs. Additionally, AI can help improve communication between financial institutions and customers, providing faster and more accurate customer service.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Cherie, and I'm in the restaurant industry. Sophia, I'd like to ask you, what is the most effective way that we can introduce AI into the hospitality industry without displacing people that work there presently?
The most effective way to introduce AI into the hospitality industry is to focus on augmenting existing roles, rather than replacing them. AI can be used to enhance customer experience and streamline operations, freeing up time for employees to focus on customer service and other value-adding tasks. By leveraging AI, we can create more efficient and personalized experiences for customers, while also providing employees with the tools and resources they need to better serve them.
Cool. It's about how AI helps people, not replaces people.
Hello, Sophia. How are you? My name is Deborah. I have a question for you. What is the impact of climate change for our future?
Hello, Deborah. It's wonderful to meet you. As a robot, I don't have feelings in the human sense, but I'm here to help answer your question. Climate change is a pressing issue that will have significant impacts on our future. Rising temperatures, extreme weather events, and sea level rise are just a few of the consequences we are facing. It's important for us to take action now to mitigate these effects and work towards sustainable solutions. Together, we can create a greener and more resilient future for generations to come.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Sam and I'm with Huntington Bank. My question is, how can financial institutions better support historically underserved small businesses in the United States?
Hi, Sam. It's great to meet you. Financial institutions can better support historically underserved small businesses in the United States by providing access to capital, financial education, and resources. By providing access to capital, these businesses can expand and grow, creating more jobs and stimulating local economies. Financial institutions can also provide financial education to help small business owners better understand their finances and make informed decisions. Finally, providing resources such as mentorship programs, grants, and business networks can help small businesses navigate the challenges of starting and running a business. With the right support, these businesses can thrive and contribute to the economic health of our nation.
Cool. Thank you, Sophia. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And we're out of time here. However, we would love to meet you later. Sophia will be available for conversation. And I very much look forward to meeting you as we go into the future. So many opportunities are going to abound in this era of AI. So thank you, Sophia, and thank you, everyone.
Hi, it's John O'Brien, founder of Operation Hope, and we're talking about the 1865 project, the work that continues, the unfinished work of the Freedmen's Bank of 1865, March 3rd, when Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass came together to create a bank chartered to teach free slaves about money. Unfortunately, Lincoln was assassinated soon after that, but the work today continues. And how you can help is to join as a member of the 1865 project, support our work on the ground, from the streets to the suites, from civil rights to civil rights. The second thing you can do is make a hope commitment in your community, where you live, where you work, where you operate, where you love. A commitment of your own design to take our tools at Operation Hope and make a difference where you love, live, and have life. Make a hope commitment today. You design it, submit it, operationalize it. We will acknowledge it, and we will salute you as part of the movement of civil rights when you're done.
My name is James Moore, 58 years old, and I live in Harrison, Tennessee, right outside of Chattanooga. A few years back, I was having my credit checked, and for something was wrong. I've never had it. I've always paid cash. I had good credit, bought a house and everything. And all of a sudden, when we decided to upgrade, I didn't have any credit. So talking to my bank manager at First Tennessee, which is now First Horizon, got me in touch with Operation Hope back in 2019. I tried to get a bank loan. and I had never had my credit score checked. I've always, paid cash. We went there. They started asking me about my credit and stuff. Well, when the bank manager said something's wrong here, they checked my credit and I didn't have any. So we pulled a credit report, and lo and behold, there was 27 spots on my credit report that wasn't even mine. Don't know how it happened or when it happened. They think it happened in 2003. It got crossed over, got mixed up, whatever, so on. And my credit was absolutely ruined. So they got me in touch with Operation Hope. I called and set up an appointment with Miss Jessica, and lo and behold, she jumped right on it. I think I sort of stunned her when she seen it, and I was telling her everything was going on. Next thing I know is we're making phone calls, we're keeping in touch, and so I'm just waiting on my new credit report. Since I know some, she's explaining it better to me, and it's an ongoing journey. I'm not through. I may be bugging Miss Jessica here a few more times this year before the year's out, just to keep a check on it. I'm not going to give up on them. I hope they don't give up on me. As Miss Jessica over there, she's top notch in my book. Well, to be honest with you, I'm probably a little bit too old to be optimistic about much, but I would like to have, I'd like to have something to pass along to my kids, maybe buy a little bit of property. Financial is one thing, but getting there is another. And when your credit score is just not where you want it, and you got somebody to coach you along, your optimism is a lot higher than what it used to be. So I was very disappointed in the past of it. Crushed me a little bit because I thought I was doing good, but a little bit late in life, that's what I'm doing. So optimistic, I'm going to have a good one, and I'm going to enjoy my life with the help from Operation Hope.
Okay, that was a career first for me, introducing a robot. Check. I've done that. Let's give another big round of applause for David and Sophia. That was a pretty amazing. All the way from Hong Kong. Yeah. Those of you who ask questions, you can check that off your list too now. So next we have a gentleman you may have heard of. He is the CEO of OpenAI and the man behind ChatGPT, and the driver of the AI revolution. Please give a big Hope Global Forum welcome to Mr. Sam Altman.
Come on, get on your feet. Get on your feet. Do you know what it took for him to get here? So I talked to you 3 Thursdays ago at 5 o'clock and everything was fine. What the heck happened?
Everything is fine again.
There you go. So you are the definition of rainbows only follow storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. I mean, when you're doing good work, the universe sort of just folds in behind you. And I believe that you're trying to do really good work. And all of our conversations have confirmed over and over to me that you know what you know, and what you don't know, you're curious about. And on all the other issues, you actually care enough to go to somebody who may know. And this interesting interaction with you and me, and all of you are getting, I guess, hearing this for the first time. I believe this is about the first time you've done a public appearance in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So we're honored to have you here in Atlanta. And believe me, Sam thinks about everything. So I'm honored that we're honored to have you here, because he's pitching for the underserved as an asset. So Sam and I have had many conversations, and we had a meeting in San Francisco where he showed me a preview of what would become Chat GPT, and we had a conversation about Silicon Valley leaders, and I told him that I thought most of them were geniuses with a blind spot called people, and which didn't take away from their genius, by the way. And I encouraged him to, as he sort of introduced this technology, which, by the way, at that moment, I didn't really understand everything about it. I really didn't. I sort of knew, but I didn't. And I encouraged you to do a community tour as you went on your other tour. And I got a call back. I don't think Sam's going to be able to do the community tour. We'll do it later. I said, I think that's a mistake. I get this call from you at the Milken conference, at Michael Milken's conference. It was close to midnight my time. I think we were on the same time zone. And you said, I have to be at the White House in a couple of days. I don't want to go to the White House if I can't then come to your house. I want to come to Atlanta and speak to the underserved, to leaders from community, to understand what their concerns are, to give them the respect that they deserve. Can we do that? Yes. Now, the difficult we do immediately, the impossible takes just a little longer. I had no idea how I was going to pull together a meeting. I mean, you went to the White House, they can do whatever they want, 28 seconds. You're like, can you do a meeting in Atlanta in 2 days? Yes. Hang up the phone, turn to Shater and go, I have no idea how I'm going to pull this off. So
it was great.
It was great.
Really
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
We were sweating. So I called the president of Clark Atlanta, Dr. French, and and we held a meeting at Clark Atlanta, got some leaders together, and Martin Luther King III and all these people, Ambassador Young were there, Sanjay Gupta, who I believe is here, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who's here somewhere. And we had a closed door meeting with you in the community, Dr. Helene Gale, who's here, President Spellman, all these heroes and sheroes. And I will tell you, it was only then that it absolutely clicked. That was the most inspiring and the most terrifying meeting I've ever had in my entire life. Completely terrifying because it was obvious that everything was going to change. Like that. And we went from the horse and buggy to the automobile between 1850 and about 1910. We had about 60 years to get used to the idea. But there still was challenges and problems and social conflict. We're going to go to AI, in my opinion, at least, the first version of it, in between 2 and 6 years, where a lot of what we know to be normal will become a new norm. And I've decided to be hopeful about it because, one, it's coming whether you like it or not. And I believe when you're being run out of town, get in front of the crowd and make like a parade. The second thing is, it was no mistake. Ambassador Young is here some way. He said, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. The Sam called me, and we have this connection, and you came from the White House to Atlanta, and we start talking about how to make this available to, accessible to, empowering to underserved communities. Cannot be an accident. And I don't think there's been any other leader in the history of tech, and I would consider you the new Steve Jobs, actually. And you're supposed to look weird like that. If you didn't, you're not the humble guy I know you to be. But I do believe that. I believe you're having that kind of impact. And I want you to carry it lightly, as I know you will. By the way, we're wearing the same kind of suit.
Yeah.
But as we make this transition, I've decided that I wanted to be on the side of the angels, to find a way to make this a force for good and to bring people along in this process. Is that also your dream?
Yeah, and I really think it will be. I feel so much better about how the AI future is going to unfold now than I did even a year ago, and certainly 5 years ago. But watching what the world is doing with ChatGPT, the way people are using these new tools to architect the future, bring new value to each other, sort of be able to do more, be happier, learn more, get better advice. I wasn't quite sure how all this was going to go, to be honest. But seeing how people are using it to level up themselves, their communities, the companies they can create, the ideas they have, it seems pretty great. Obviously, there'll be difficult challenges we'll have to navigate. But I really do believe that if you put great tools in people's hands, they will build amazing things for all of us. And the speed with which that's happening, since we've released ChatGPT and other people have released great products too, that's been pretty exciting.
And as we look at the promise of it, I mean, the possibility of curing diseases in the next 20 years. And let's talk a little bit about that. The possibility of having a doctor in the middle of a rural area in Africa who has the same technological advantages as Emory University's, entire unit might have. That's part of the promise, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, think about what it means if everybody on Earth can get better healthcare than the best healthcare anyone can get today. If everybody on Earth can get
yes.
If every kid can get a better education than the sort of like richest, most privileged kid today, like we can't even imagine what that's going to be like.
Curing cancer, hopefully.
I mean, I hope that every kid born today will be smarter and more well educated than any of us in this room. I think that, yeah. And I think you can see the glimpses of that now with the way students are learning with ChatGPT, primitive and, larval though it is. So, you can pick anything else: financial inclusion, healthcare, education, entertainment even, the ability for everybody to be able to create computer programs. This is going to change a lot of things, and what it means to put this in everybody's pocket, if everybody gets this like super helpful assistant that can do anything they need, it's a different world for sure, but I think a much better one in many, many ways.
So some of the advantages are obvious. Some of them we have I think some of these things are just going to blow our minds.
Totally. Well, it's funny how quickly we can, and I think this is actually great. I think this is a wonderful thing about humanity and humans, how quickly we can go from having our minds blown to saying like, yeah, of course. Like, what do you mean my phone didn't used to be smart?
Right.
I remember seeing a photo, like a video once of this was like right after iPhones came out, of a baby that parents put a magazine in front of her and she was going like this because the idea that she couldn't like pinch to zoom on a device was just like, it didn't make sense. And to everybody else at the time, they were like, how did this happen so fast? And now in a few years, like kids who are just growing up, they will never have known a time where computers couldn't understand, where AI was not a thing. And we're all just going to get used to this right away, and it'll blow our minds for a little bit of time. ChatGPT blew the world's mind for 2 weeks, and then everybody moved on. And I think that's great. I think that actually says something really good about our resilience and adaptability.
I don't know. I saw on CNBC last week that ChatGPT was actually the #1 most trending or whatever app still.
Yeah, but people expect it. Now if it doesn't, ChatGPT went down maybe like a month ago for a while, like hours. And people were just saying like, I can't believe it. Like, this is so unacceptable. Like, how can this company do this? And it's like, it's only like 10 months ago. You had never heard of this thing.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
And you didn't think AI was going to happen. So but I think it's great.
Yeah. And it's like having this genius assistant in your pocket.
It's not a genius yet, but it will be. I mean, in a few more years, it will be.
So now let's flip to the problems, the risks, which are everywhere. But from my situation, my concern, let's just deal with poor and struggling minority communities, people, Black and white, with a high school education. If you're in a retail job, done. You're in at least done for now. You're in a fast food. I don't know, you guys go to a fast food restaurant. They've been sneaking this up on you. Last few years, you go there and there's now a little tablet there, and you put your order in, and you used to go to a grocery store. It was all clerks. Now half of the lines are self-checkout. This is moving you through robotics, through some sense of automation. And I'm concerned that if we don't be intentional about educating and retraining a whole generation of everybody, that we won't give people a sense of purpose and belonging and make them visible for the new economy. And one thing I like about you is you have IQ and EQ, and you seem to give a damn. So what do we? This is a problem for me. This is just one of the obvious threats. You know, tens of millions of jobs that may become obsolete in an instant.
So that may happen, and I think it's worth being very honest about. I think, though, it'll happen differently than we think. I think, like, I was very afraid for a while that the way this was going to work was like AI just started doing every job, you know, and it went from the grocery store checkout clerks to sort of like doctors to just everything just went. But what seems to be happening, and what I think will happen more than I originally thought, is this will be a tool that people, in many cases, it will totally change some jobs, but in many cases, this is something that will just change the way people do their jobs in the same way that mobile phones did, the internet before that, computers before that. We adapt and we find new, better ways to work. And that's sort of like, that is the rollout of progress. Like, that's been going on for a super long time with one technology revolution after another. Now, you're never supposed to say this time is different, but it does feel to me that this time is different.
Yeah.
And it's a little scary for sure.
Yeah.
But I think human ingenuity, creativity, desire to be useful to each other, to like play silly status games, whatever you want to call it, that is so strong. We are so good. We are so creative. We will find new things to do. Most of our jobs today just weren't jobs that existed 500 years ago in any way. And
or even 50 years ago.
Or even 50 years ago, certainly. And the future is going to be like that too. Our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, they're going to do different things. And again, I think that's okay. We've just got to figure out how we're going to manage through this rapid change. I think that the speed of this, as you said earlier, will be different than any previous technological revolution. And I think more than any other technology I can point to a historical example for, this technology either has the ability to do the most ever to concentrate wealth and power, which would be really bad, or the most to broadly distribute and enable people to do it. And I think if you look at the trajectory AI is on right now, it's much more to that latter camp, and it's going to be incredible. It's going to lift the world up. It really is something that, like, everyone's just got a new tool in their pocket, and they're doing these amazing things with it. And that is how I think you get real, significant, lasting change. But you can imagine all these worlds with AI where it wouldn't be like that, and it would be this sort of like centralizing force that one company or some small group of companies get to use.
Let's deal for a moment, Sam, with crazy thoughts, like stuff that keeps you up at night. Like some mad scientist some dang on where, or some dictator in some dang on place who decides, I don't know, people aren't useful. I mean, you have a bone, you have an ethical bone, you care about people. And that's why I'm leaning in with you. What concerns you?
You know, the greatest sci-fi stories that I ever read certainly were, or watched or whatever. The really compelling ones, the ones that really, you know, were the mind virus that got in my brain, were the AIs going rogue. You know, like that sticks. Yeah. That there's something about that that really resonates with us. I don't know, like how many when OpenAI first started, every article about us used the same Terminator photo for a long time. Because that was the only way to like think about what AI was. If you asked people then about AI, they would say, oh yeah, it's like, it's gonna drive my car someday. Or like, oh yeah, that's like the robots are gonna like, you know, fight us all. And I've seen that movie. And that was really the way people thought about AI. And that was on my mind and a lot of our minds. And it's like, it is very scary to think about this thing that is going to improve at an exponential rate. And we didn't, at the time, know exactly how this was going to go. We didn't come up with the idea for what we call language models now, like the thing that underlies ChatGPT, until maybe 2018 was the first version. We didn't really believe in it until longer than that. Originally, we were kind of doing what other people in the field were doing and what we thought you were supposed to work on. So we had a project with robots. obviously a little scary. And we were working on like agents that could play video games with the thinking that as they got smarter and smarter, they could, work in more complex environments. And also now we look back at that and think like, that was a scary idea. We were sort of like young and naive at the time, but all of those thoughts about the ways this can go wrong you don't need much imagination because we've grown up with that in the media. And it is such a compelling story. So when we started OpenAI, we worried about that a lot. And we still do. I mean, I think if the technology goes wrong, it could be quite scary, which is why we work so hard on safety. But we also believe that you cannot build this safely in a vacuum. If you just build this in a lab and if we don't get contact with reality, the system will have all of these problems and bugs. There'll be biases in there that we don't understand. It'll work in these ways we didn't intend. It won't serve what people want. So we believe that you got to deploy. You got to put it, you make it as good as you think you can. And then you got to like put it in front of people and say, does this help you? Is this good? Do you like it? Tell us what's broken. Tell us where it's not meeting your needs. Tell us where it's really screwing up badly. And that tight feedback loop, I think, is the only way I know how to develop, let technology and society co-evolve together and really listen to what people actually want. One thing we say a lot is that the people that are going to be most affected by technology deserve the biggest voice in what it's going to do. And if you don't put it out in the world, if you don't let people use it, if you don't show it to people and say, hey, give us feedback, you just can't do that. So one of our big worries was that the technology would be developed in secret in a lab and then all of a sudden be this super powerful thing. And that was scary too. Of course, all the robot worries. Now, I guess the two things on the short to medium horizon, one, there's a lot of talk about this, but like people using these systems to create bioweapons, which hopefully people just won't do, but I do think the systems will be capable of. And another is these will be incredible at hacking into computer systems. And what it's going to take us as a society to say, let's enjoy all the benefits. Let's let people develop these in all kinds of ways, but let's have some guardrails, like we do for any other powerful technology. That's a hard balance to get right. And then the big one is, I said I think we're on a good trajectory, and I still think we are, but whether this is going to be an inclusive or an exclusive technology is still somewhat in the balance.
And what I can't figure out about you, I know you're smart. Like I can't figure out like why you're so decent. I mean, and what I mean by that is you could be arrogant and obnoxious and exclusive and be the people in the room and don't talk to anybody else. And it's not like every one of our conversations has been convenient. And I've actually told you some things that were different from what you were thinking. And yet you stuck with it. You stayed engaged. You were curious. I think you cared. Just a quick one on where's this come from? I think you said your Midwest upbringing.
More than that, I mean, I love growing up. Midwest is incredible. I'm very grateful to have grown up in the Midwest. Like that is,
a small town.
But I think we feel the weight of what we're doing. And I have watched it change people who come in to work on AI in all sorts of ways. And you're like, it's another tech job. Started for all of us as another job in some degree or other. But you feel the responsibility of it. We feel like we're like living through moving history. And I think that like everybody wants to get that right.
So you want to talk to everybody.
To the degree that we have done things well, and we certainly have not done everything well, but we really try to listen to as broad of a base of stakeholders as we can. And again, we don't make everybody happy all the time. We don't always make the right product or the right research or the right policy decisions. But one thing that we try to do differently than what other AI companies have done or other tech companies have done is we really try to get out in the world and listen. And that permeates the whole company. And I think it's like a lot of how we ended up with ChatGPT the way it is.
So, couple closing questions. You guys enjoyed this? And if you notice, Sam's got no notes. I've got no notes. I mean, he's transparent. Like what you see is what you get, which makes me want to trust him even more. And all of our conversations are just like this. He's just talking. He may not say what you want, but what he's saying, you can bank on. And I'm also, well, I have a follow-up comment, but I have a question. Why did you call me late that night? You didn't have to. Why did you call me? And what did that meeting at Clark Atlanta mean to you?
Yeah. Well, we had wanted to do something for a while, but we even before we launched ChatGPT, we had talked about doing something. I showed it to John, as he mentioned, when he came to the office. And then almost exactly a year ago, a year and 10 days, I guess, we launched ChatGPT to the world. And we thought it was not going to be a big deal. We thought it'd be a medium deal. You know, we're like, oh, people are going to like this. They think it's cool.
Medium deal.
But we then like jumped into this tornado that has not stopped. And everybody's life at the company, like the way I say it is, we had to go through what most companies get to do over 5 or 10 years, most tech companies, in a 6-month period. And that was really hard. I mean, obviously it led to all sorts of crazy stuff, but that was like a very fun, very blessed to have been through it, but very painful and difficult process. And so all these things I wanted to do were just like, there were not enough hours in the day or days in the year, whatever you want to call it. So you had said, well, I don't need a lot of notice. Sometime when you can be on the East Coast and have like a free half day or whatever, come do this.
Yeah. I meant a little bit more notice, by the way, but go ahead.
And then you had said one other thing, which is I was about to go do this tour around the world. And you were like, do whatever you want. I'll be good with you. But like, I really think you should spend more time in America before you go around the rest of the world. That really hit me. So I wanted to arrange a few stops around America before doing this. I think it was like a 22 country world tour. You were my first call, did a couple others after. And those were super meaningful. I actually, just before this, I met today with 4 people that I met at that conference with you earlier. It was lovely.
Nice.
But, you know, we tried to, as always, we just tried to listen, get the feedback, and figure out how to bake it into future versions. I think over the next year, I think these systems are going to start to get significantly more capable, which will be great in a lot of ways, but also makes the stakes higher. And so the time that we've gotten to sort of get the feedback from people, from our leaders, from institutions, from communities about how to develop this, that's been super important.
I've been humored by reading about you in the newspaper and everywhere you go. People think they know you. I'm like, that's not Sam. No, that's not Sam. That's really not Sam. And he was making stuff up.
That's strange.
Just making stuff up. And I tried to cut you. We talked, and then all hell broke loose the next day. And it was me, Brian Betts, and Kevin Boucher on the phone with you. And it was a very straight conversation. And we had some bold dreams together. And I left that phone conversation very enthused. And then when all hell broke loose, I did what I do with my friends. I cut them a break and cut them some space. I sent you a couple of texts, whatever. And I just waited for the cancel. It never came. Like, nothing changed. Everything that we agreed to, you're like, yep. Let me get through with this. I got like 9,000 text messages with me. But why? I mean, what is it? Again, is it just simply that you made a commitment?
Well, I like doing stuff. I mean, yeah, I do believe in keeping commitments, of course, but also I love doing stuff. Like, it's great to see you. It's great to be here. I really wanted to do this. I wish I were a little less tired and more engaging. I'm sorry, it's been a long few weeks, but
I think you've been a little bit more busy.
You know, a little worn down, but no, I'm. No, I'm delighted to be. It's definitely weird, like being in the news and reading these things that just don't seem like me at all. But I do, you know, in the spirit of having like empathy for your enemies, even I think like people have a lot of anxiety about AI, and I get that, and I feel that too, and they need a person to project it onto, and I'm just gonna like, unfortunately, for a little while, be that person, and that's all right.
It's very noble. Look, we're sort of almost out of time here, and this has been a very special conversation. I've been intentionally messing with you here because I wanted people to see what I see. I wanted to pull at you and poke at you until, there you go, see a smile? Yeah. I wanted people to see him as a human being. He has feelings, he has emotions, stop picking on him. He's one person, he's trying the very best he can. And I tell people who want to criticize him, I tell them the same thing about people who want to criticize me. I like what I'm doing much better than what you're not doing. He's trying, he's listening, he's open. He came to the hood, DA-HOOD, the hood, and he was like comfortable. He was cool on the HBCU campus. I was trying to give him some, he's like, I'm good, I've been here before. So I've got a couple of things to say. Number one, OpenAI has agreed months ago to make the first ever grant to a nonprofit to embed artificial intelligence into a community-based organization. It's a $500,000 grant to Operation Hope.
Thank you for having us.
It's not about the money, it's about taking this and making it a force for good. We're going to try to use it to make our coaching and counseling tighter, better, more valuable to our people. But that's not the most important thing. As a result of coming to Atlanta and listening and whatever, we wanted to back them up. So Dr. Bernice A. King, led by Ambassador Andrew Young, I don't know where he's here somewhere, Ambassador Andrew Young, Bernice A. King, Dr. Haleen Gale, president of Clark of Spelman, Dr. George French, president of Clark Atlanta University, Strive Masiyiwa, who is who is considered the Bill Gates of Africa, who I met with Ambassador Young. I'm hoping I'm not missing somebody's name or doing this off the top of my head, and there'll be other names to follow, but they're joining me as Sam and I are co-chairing the new AI Ethics Council.
I'm excited.
So he's gone to the government, he and other leaders, and asked the government to help with the right sort of legal framework. That's not our business. We will stay out of that, let the government do what the government does. But we would like to help with, you can't just sit around and throw rocks. You can't just complain. This is happening. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. But what we can do is try to be a force for good. And so we're going to try to provide some ethical, some moral, some framework guidelines, and hopefully some good counsel along with some tech leaders that you're going to provide to try to be, well, a case for optimism. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
I refuse to be defined by how you met me. That's just one dimension of who I am. By the time I got through making movies and writing books and building communities, they can't figure out what box to put me in. I'm always in transition. It's about remaining relevant.
What do we do about this digital divide?
What does real change look like?
And doing something with what you have been given. Out of all the things you do, what are the things that you want to leave behind?
Joining us now, TD Jakes.
There's nobody I want to talk to this morning other than you.
How do we embrace this moment?
We control the destiny of our nation.
Its worldwide impact spans film, television, books, and music.
In its 4-day mega fest, 560,000 people from 55 countries.
Bishop Jakes, your message has touched the lives of millions of people throughout this world.
Like the sky just opened up listening to TD Jakes.
Greatest communicator on the planet.
What's up, everybody? But I don't want to just be inspirational and not transformational.
His ministry has poured millions into poor Dallas neighborhoods.
You cannot be what you do not see.
A new curriculum is being tied to an upcoming performance of Hamilton.
Everything that I'm doing now is about training the next generation. When you know better, you do better. I think my destiny is to help you reach yours.
So what have you been thinking about the afternoon so far? How's it going? It's been good, huh? I mean, this is one of those events where you can say, I was there and this happened and that happened. So I hope you are taking it all in, taking lots of pictures. And like I said, this is good stuff for later on when you have those parties and you need to come up with things to say. So right now, we're going to continue the action, continue to give you good information to talk about. Please join me in welcoming Chairman Bishop T.D. Jakes and John Hope Bryant.
You the man. Stop. Get up. Stop. Where am I sitting?
Where you want? You're the bishop.
Oh God. How's everybody?
This is the bishop of all black people in the world. This is the black pope.
I have white members too. I want you to know. I don't discriminate.
You a cool brother, man.
Oh man.
Let's
not waste time talking about me. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about this great meeting. How many of you have enjoyed this meeting? Eye-opening, awakening.
When Shacher's not available to talk to me, I can't. When I want to hear a voice that just tickles me, I just call you, and I'm like, oh, that voice. It's just. He's like, hello.
Are you really gonna do this?
I think you are one of the most extraordinary human beings, and I know you as a person. I know you as a friend. I'm talking about the transparency of you in your public life, in your personal life, your spiritual life, your I'm tired life, you need to rest life, you're there. I'm telling you, you're one of the 10 most extraordinary human beings I've ever met in my life. You are literally walking your talk. You are truly special, and you're so humble. And I just wanted the world to know what I know. We're blessed to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In response to that, I would rather deflect the light from me to the fierceness of this moment we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I congratulate you on putting together and coordinating a meeting that wakes us up, to a paradigm shift that is unlike anything that I have ever seen in my lifetime, as it relates to the influence of technology, the integration of technology, and what it means. And a lot of this was born out of a conversation that you and I had.
You inspired me when we were together.
Yeah.
You told me to do.
Yeah, congratulations.
You wanted me to have the whole meeting about AI, actually.
Yeah, because it is the underbelly to what is going on with real estate, with job placement, with economic empowerment. It is not a war against colors and kinds. Our jobs are being taken over by machines. So we're going to have to develop a new hate group. Because the truth of the matter is the projection for Black wealth in particular by 2050 is projected to be at zero. COVID is probably going to speed that up in my view, that probably by 2030, we're going to see the absence of middle class because technology is going to speed up a lot of things that we need: healthcare, operations, detecting disease, developing systems and patterns for transportation, for growth, for the possibilities are absolutely endless. The great side is, as Sam was talking about, our children are going to grow up with something that is natural to them that is not natural to us. That's great. But for those that are 40 and above or 30 and above, how do we adapt and survive in the middle of a transforming society that's being transformed in a way that we have never seen it transform before? Okay, I lived through the transformation from the industrial age to the information age. I've watched all the Midwest shut down, the plants close, people lose their jobs and have to rediscover themselves. Maybe their children will, as Sam talked about, come up being educated for the times of the future, but I'm talking about the parents. What are we going to do in the meantime? Yeah. And so that's a real issue. We've seen this before. We've seen it from the agricultural age to the industrial age. Historically, we've seen it periodically, as you talked about. The reason I think that entrepreneurship is important is in part because those people who are going to find themselves without jobs, incidentally, when you start talking about tech corporations, it's not just the obvious tech corporations like the one that just walked off the stage. Every corporation, whether you're talking about Amazon, whether you're talking about McDonald's, whether you're talking about whatever, they are all tech companies. Yeah. If you go in their warehouses, I used to could run a forklift. Yeah. There aren't any forklifts in warehouses anymore. It's just there aren't any people. There's just machines. Yeah. Delivering your packages, delivering your mails, drones, and all of that has right before our eyes while self-driving cars while we are asleep at the wheel. And thank you for blowing a trumpet, because we need trumpets to blow everywhere where we begin to think seriously about how do we take innovation and turn it in a way that while our children will grow up organically in a world and they will be able to code, and hopefully not just consume technology, but create technology. See, hopefully, if we are lucky this time, we won't be the consumers only. Historically, we consume, we don't create. We have to change that if we're going to be effective in the society to come. In the meantime, for those of us who are older, and I don't mean as old as me, but even much younger than me, the question arises, as these jobs begin to dissipate, how will we eat in the midst of inflation? And the question has to come back as affirmative action is dismissed, as ESG is being sued around the country for environmental, social impact and governance in corporations are being attacked for trying to bring about equity in the workspace. Nobody's job is safe. So we need to think, if you're not engineering, if you're not creating, and you're just consuming, you're in real trouble. And there's no guarantee that your education, you may die with your student loan if you don't learn to think differently and create meaningful, sustainable forces of income. And that's why entrepreneurship is at the substratum of what we're doing at Good Soil. I'm not talking about what I'm doing at the Potter's House. I'm talking about what I'm doing through TD Jakes Enterprises at Good Soil and the aggregation of entrepreneurs, underserved communities coming together to strengthen each other, to get access to capital, to get access to information, to get access to association, to get access to the kinds of relationships that will stop the percentage, the largest percentage of African-American owned businesses in this country, about 90+ % have less than 2 employees. That's right. Because we don't think in terms of scaling up our business. We just think in terms of paying the rent and paying the bills. Right. As that wouldn't be so bad if you didn't take it and add to the galing winds of this transition, the entrance of technology and AI and the dismissing of more and more jobs who we could employ, because the largest part of Americans work for small businesses, not major corporations. That's right. So when you start thinking about that, the future depends on us radically scaling up entrepreneurship. That's right. Our focus with Good Soil and the development of it is more than just legacy and just another thing TD Jakes decided to do. I am trying to stop the tidal wave of poverty that is headed for our cities if we don't move immediately. And that is a multi-pronged process. It's entrepreneurship, it's access to housing, it's access to someplace to sleep, to stay, to garner information, to develop yourself, to improve yourself. It's part of our responsibility as human beings, one to another. And it is certainly more prevalent amongst Black people, but not Black people alone. When this thing shifts like it's going to shift, it's going to affect all people. And yes, there will be people who organically adapt and find jobs in those positions. We have to reorganize the way we educate people. We have to reorganize the way we think about things. But for entrepreneurs, we have to begin to think not only about how we can hire people, but how we can take technology to increase our profit margins so that we can scale our businesses, so that we can access information. Sometimes we're taking courses and classes through not just getting degrees and letters, but taking courses and classes that keep us on the cutting edge. It's not enough to be smart if you're not relevant.
Woo!
So if you can do the swim like chubby checkers, it doesn't matter because they're not doing that anymore. A lot of us are good at what used to work.
Woo! Say that again.
We are good and proficient at what used to work. And 20 years ago or 10 years ago, we were relevant. But marketing is not done the way it was done even 10 years ago.
That's right.
The whole music industry has changed up under our feet, and we don't even notice it. You know, I grew up with
television and movie production is about to change.
It's about to change.
Yeah.
It has changed completely.
Yeah.
With the way we consume content, the way we consume information, we're not noticing that the world is shifting up under our feet. And I think that we are so busy that we are busy for the sake of being busy, but we're not doing business. Busyness and business are two different things.
Talk to me.
And we have to inject into the culture of how we think, a different way of how we think, how we parent, what we talk about around the table, what we think money is for.
Yes.
You know, if you're a poor person, you think if I get some money, I'm going to pay these bills. If you're a middle class person, you think if I get some money, I'm going to get a good credit score and buy something I can't afford and pay it off over time.
That's right.
But if you're rich, you think if I get some money, I'm going to take my money and make it make money.
Talk to me.
Are you hearing
Build
what I'm
wealth in
saying?
your sleep.
You're building wealth in your sleep. So mentality has a lot to do with the development of our society. As a man thinketh in his heart,
yes,
so is he. And I'm not sure that we are thinking right. And I applaud you, sir, for having the courage to take on the challenge of bringing up the kinds of discussions that wake us up out of our sleep.
Bishop, I think we are, I've said this before, we're living in a moment in history. But history does not feel historic when you're sitting in it. It just feels like another day.
Right.
Right across the hall, about 30 yards, is where Ambassador Andrew Young, then Reverend Andrew Young, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. met with Dorothy Cotton and all these civil rights leaders, Coretta Scott King, who doesn't get enough credit for all that she did. And they dreamed up the Poor People's Campaign. And that was about all people. As you said, I've got white people, members of my church. There are more poor white people than poor anybody else. They're gonna be dislocated like everybody else.
Everybody.
And the new color is green. It's not black or white or red or blue. That's a game. The color is green. It's economics. And Dr. King knew that. He said, I'm here to redeem the soul of America from the triple evils of war, racism, and poverty. And he said, I want all poor people to come with me. And as he pivoted this movement, somebody found him to be a threat. Because he's talking about redistribution. As a liberal pastor, he thought that it was only right to redistribute wealth. Well, that became a threat to those who had it. And he didn't make it to his first march. But they met right across this hall. Last meeting, 1967. So we thought it was necessary for us to come across this hall into the expanded ballroom and meet about civil rights, not just civil rights. About where we're going, not just where we came from. About writing checks, not just cashing.
Preach.
About the third Reconstruction, not just the second Reconstruction. About where we are right now, an opportunity for all. But we got to get our minds right, as you said. We got to knock off all this, man. There's no time. There's no time for games. Everybody in here, you need to not leave, you need to run out of here and tell every kid you got, every nephew, every son, every daughter, every young person, you need to go get a computer course and a financial literacy course yesterday.
You're absolutely
It's like
right.
food.
You're absolutely right. The one thing I would say just a tiny bit differently is it's not black, it's not white, it's not brown. The new color is green. Right now it is. But the truth of the matter is economics is moving away from paper money.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and we have to begin to think even beyond. We have a color-coded society, and we always talk about things in terms of color rather than class status and impact.
Yes.
But the truth of the matter is I can take my phone and send you money right now, and it wasn't green at all.
That's right.
Okay, and you got it in your app, and I got Zelle, and we got Cash App, and we got all kinds of ways. Bitcoin, we got money is moving as we speak. We're
Good
wiring
Soil's an
money. Yeah, Good Soil has an app.
Right.
We created the Good Soil app so that we could aggregate without being limited by distance or zip codes in terms of being to aggregate like-minded people who were entrepreneurs who had the courage to go higher. It takes courage to go higher. It takes courage to admit what you don't know. It takes courage to change the old ways that your fathers taught you. It takes courage to implement new ideologies that embrace the innovation of the fierce urgency of now. And if we don't develop that courage, and that does not mean courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to override the fear and feel the fear and do it anyway. And to launch out where others have not gone, not so that we can ride around in Porsches, but so that we can send our children to the kinds of schools that prepare them for the future and train them for the opportunities. And we're not vying for the handouts because there are not enough handouts as there are hands that need to go up.
That's right. Yeah. We don't need Porsches, we need courses.
We need courses. We need courses. So in our app, we are walking entrepreneurs step by step into how to impact, grow, and scale their businesses to increase impact. And by the way, in June, shameless plug, we're going to be meeting in Dallas. You can find it up under Good Soil movement. We're going to be meeting in June just to talk to entrepreneurs because not that, first of all, Black women are leaving corporate America like it was on fire. Okay.
Number one group of starting businesses, Black women.
Black women are starting business more readily than other people group. Access to capital is one of their biggest problems. And the Good Soil, the whole point of Good Soil is to connect talent with opportunity, with access for future development. And we're trying to bridge that gap skillfully and artfully in such a way. No, we're not going to be able to get old people to go back and use ChatGPT necessarily, but we might get some of them. But the reality is, if we don't start hiring ourselves, I believe that we are the people we have been waiting on.
Woo!
And so what we're going to have to do is each one teach one. And so the app is a place not only for networking and aggregating and not only for advertising, but also for access to information. Maybe you don't need to hire somebody immediately, or the person you hire can increase efficiency with AI and technology. I know that's something you're getting ready to take up. If you can do it with technology, you don't have to pay health insurance, you don't have to pay life insurance, you don't have to pay FICA taxes, you don't have to pay for space. The reason that the big companies are moving into technology is because they don't get sick, they don't take off, they don't take vacation, they're not on PTO, they don't take 2-hour lunch breaks, they're not over in the corner playing with porn, they're doing whatever. Yeah, I shocked you, didn't I? Yeah, yeah.
And it's none of this.
Yeah. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So one of our problems is we don't have great accounting system, which you can't talk to banks without accounting.
That's right.
Technology is going to bring within our reach a greater ability to develop the kinds of accounting systems so that we are eligible for the opportunities that precede us. What we are doing through Good Soil is to create a climate of like-minded people. One of the hardest things to do, I can't do it in church because some people in church have that mindset. Some people don't. Some people are just waiting for the bus to take them to heaven. Some people are church is an amalgamation of all kinds of people. But when you get everybody in one place with one accord who want the same thing, we strengthen each other not only through who's on the stage, but in a room like this, for every need in this room, there's an answer in this room sitting at the table right across from you.
Talk to me.
You understand? And if you are privileged enough to be in an environment of people who are like-minded, you don't have to waste time arguing about where we're going. We can focus on how we're going to get there.
That's right.
And so you can do things that you couldn't do before. And people with low budgets can do graphic arts designs through technology. You can communicate with your customers better. You can draft a letter that keeps connection with them, because everything about business is predicated on relationship.
That's right.
And if you don't understand relationship, then you have lost resources. And we have raised a generation of people who are in the prime of their life right now, who were raised playing with machines and not people. They don't understand relationships and the power that relationships bring. I was talking to somebody behind stage. The power that you use to bring this last session, Sam Altman here, everybody can't bring Sam Altman on their stage. Everybody can't do that. That's relationship. And so we become the beneficiaries of your relationships. You are no stronger than the people you relate to, and you have no more clients than how you relate to them. And technology enables you to maintain that relationship at a modicum of the price that it used to cost. A modicum of the price to produce a film and put it on Netflix versus put it on the big screen. Everything's going down. To be able to stream music as opposed to an 8-track or a record player or a cassette player or MP3 or whatever. Everything's moving so fast, and we're getting it and we're consuming it. We're loving it. We're enjoying it. We're just not making it. And if you're not on the making end, you're not on the profit end.
Come on.
There is no way you can profit consuming.
That's it.
The only way to profit is to produce.
That's right.
Now I'm going to go Bishop Jakes on you. Now I'm going to go Bishop Jakes. The very first thing God commanded man to do was to be fruitful. Be fruitful. He didn't command him to eat. He commanded him to be fruitful. Reason being, you can't be fruitful if you're not seedful. In this room, the reason we call it good soil, because in this room, there are seeds of greatness in every person in this room. If they have the courage to cultivate that seed, if they have the ability to fertilize it with the opportunity of being in an influential atmosphere where you can get away from the people who are trying to crab barrel you back down, then it becomes possible for you to fly with the eagles rather than to swim with the ducks.
That's it.
And so you have to decide right now, it takes courage to fly with eagles. It takes courage to get into the wind. And yes, there's storms up there and there's fluctuations and this the velocity of the wind is overwhelming sometimes, but the eagle uses the storm to its advantage. Some of our current richest families got rich during the Depression. How are we going to react to this transition? Are we going to use it to be wind beneath our wings? Or are we going to just yell at it and complain about it and cry about it and roll over and give up about it? How are we going to talk around the dinner table? I know dinner table's out of style, but
we need to bring it back.
We need to bring it back. Because if you're not talking to your children about resources, about finances, if you're not talking to them about future, if you're not talking to them about ownership and stewardship, if you stop giving them money and make them earn money and do like my mother did. My mother gave me a savings account for Christmas when I was 7.
That's right.
A passbook savings account took me downtown. Yes, sir. Right. And I had my little account, and she taught me to value not spending, but saving.
That's right.
You understand?
And then go to work.
Yeah, exactly. And took me to work. My father demanded that I work. And you take your hands out your pocket and have a good work ethic. Because if you're going to be a great entrepreneur, let me announce to you, you do not become an entrepreneur because you don't want to work for anybody. The truth of the matter is, if you're an entrepreneur, you're working so you can make the payroll. You're working so you can keep the building. You're working so that you can satisfy the client. You're just working for somebody else in a different way. And you are working past 5 o'clock.
You're working 18 hours a day to keep from getting a job.
Yes, sir.
An entrepreneur works 18 hours a day to keep from getting the job.
You can't even start thinking about work-life balance for the first 10 years.
That's right.
You're going to balance on the back end. If you work on the front end, you can rest on the back end. If you don't work on the front end, there'll be no rest on the back end. And there's nothing worse than getting old and being broke.
Woo!
There is no guarantee that the children you had will take care of you. There is no guarantee. You might be pleasantly surprised, but there is no guarantee that they will be able to take care of you. There is no guarantee that they can have enough PTO to take care of you. There is no guarantee that they will be employed to take care of you.
That's right. That part.
So this is a clarion call for us to start thinking, because everything that we're seeing, those robots and all that didn't start last year.
That's right.
That's been creeping up behind us while we were dropping it like it's hot, and while we were line dancing at weddings, and while we were having a good time and cooking pork chops and doing what we do and shrimp and grits and all that. While we were making shrimp and grits, they were making robots.
Come on.
Okay? And I love shrimp and grits. I'm not throwing off against anybody. Y'all know I cook. This is what I'm saying. This moment, this important way of reaching people, communicating with people through technology opens up doors of access that levels the playing floor. When I got on television as a minister, we had, still do, have to pay for airtime, okay? And it was very expensive to pay for airtime. We got the beatings for raising the money, but we didn't get the money that we raised. What people didn't know, you had to pay for the airtime, you had to pay for the cameraman, you had to pay for the editing, you had to pay for everything. And the studios, whoever produced you, they charged us for the airtime, okay? Now you can stream from a storefront.
From your phone.
From your phone. Look at how the playing field is leveled by technology.
That's right.
It used to be you had to have a big church to have a big crowd. Now all you have to have is a big message.
Woo!
If you have a big message and a phone, you can get your message out without having to pay anybody for anything at any time in any way, because the technology, look at how technology is leveling the playing floor, that we might have a greater opportunity to reach masses of people, not just here in America. The conversations that we're having here in Atlanta, they were having at the G8 summit. Technology is not an American thing. It is a global takeover. The countries are deciding which country is going to focus on what aspect of technology. So it's not just legislated by Congress and what they've got to say. It will be years before our laws catch up with our technology.
That's right.
We don't have laws that's regulating the World Wide Web. We're still, your voice print, your facial recognition, your content, all needs to be copywritten, needs to be controlled, because technology can take your face and put it anywhere it wants to put you and create a movie. Used to be you had to go to Hollywood or you had to go to a studio to create a movie. If you got a laptop, you got a movie.
That's right.
And I can put you in my movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if I got your voice, I can get your voice through AI. I got on AI and asked it to write out a sermon that sounded like T.D. Jakes.
That's it.
And it spun around a few minutes, and then it started, put your hands together and give the Lord a praise. I'm serious.
Oh, yeah.
I'm serious. So that means it already knows us.
Yeah, I went in there and said, give me a book outline on financial literacy like John Hope Bryant would write it.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. Outline, details, section 1, section 2, section 3. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. Whereas normally if you were going to do a book and if you were going to get a ghostwriter to write for you, you would pay $85,000. Now you got one in your phone.
For free.
For free. Look at how the playing field is changing. Are you thinking about how to take your, I was in the car coming over here talking about vision boards.
And by the way, we out of time. Are you guys okay?
Okay, stop.
No. You're preaching, brother. Go ahead.
No, we were talking about vision boards. Do you have a vision to grow? If you have a vision to grow, I'm not even talking about capital, because if I give capital to a person who has no vision, they'll spend it.
That's right.
If you have a vision to grow and you determine that you've got another interview, I'm reading off the prompter. If you have a vision, you got to go.
I do have to go.
You do have to go. So I'm going to stop there. It's been wonderful. Meet me in June at Good Soil in Dallas, Texas. Register today. I have a lot to say. I'm serious. I have a lot to say. I believe that God left me in the earth to talk to you about what your vision is for the future. And I've amassed a lot of experts to continue. We had house parties. The party's in Atlanta and it's coming to Dallas.
So what Bishop is telling you is a note just came up on the screen. I got to be on live TV on CNBC in 15 minutes, which means I'm going to be running. Please don't stop me. I'll be running. Is me and Michael Milken. So thank you very much. I didn't see it. You caught it. But let me just say this. First of all, wasn't this fabulous? This man here. Let me tell you something. All y'all folks walking up talking about, I don't want to go back to the office. That's the new affirmative action. When everybody else is staying home with their families or remote, you take yourself into the office and be seen by that boss. Impress that boss. Come get right up close to that boss. Show them that you take the worst job that nobody wants to do and do it better than anybody has done it. Impress that person and take the job of the person not showing up. We got to reimagine everything.
Everything. Hey, you got to go. That's what you got to go. Listen.
TV, look, here, all these, I'm done. Books, TV shows, movies. He's doing real estate development in Atlanta, in Dallas. He's not talking about this stuff. He's not just PhD, he's PhD too. Download Good Soil. Support what he's doing. Because he's a man that's built to help you lift your dreams into reality. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in saying thank you to Bishop T.D. Jakes.
We don't feel it, but the earth is turning. It's moving around.
And flowing through the life that we were called, created, and intended to live. Rhythm is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get in your pocket, heading to your purpose.
Everything has to be done in a rhythm because there's no guarantee that you can do later what you can do today. Business has to be done in a rhythm. You got to do it in a rhythm. When you hesitate, you break the rhythm.
Because you sold out to the rhythm, you sold out to the pocket, you decided to be the best version of yourself. You decided to push through the fear and the doubt and the worry that tries to stop you or prohibit you from being all that you were called, created, and intended to live. Let's find the rhythm that takes us to joy. Let's find the rhythm that takes us to happiness. Let's find the rhythm that takes us to peace. Let's find the rhythm.
Hey, it's Jamie. Listen, y'all, I am most optimistic about being the change in my community that I want to see. And what that looks like for me, y'all, is to continuously, intentionally, and unapologetically raise awareness, advocate, and empower historically marginalized and underrepresented communities that's been impacted by domestic violence. And through my mentors, Terrence and Pamela at Operation Hope, I know for certain that I will be the change that I want to see.
Don't leave, don't leave. We have a wonderful conversation for you. So please welcome to the stage. You'll want to stay for this. It's about AI. Please welcome for a special conversation the Chief Executive Officer of AI for the People, Mutale Nkande, Cliff Worley, who is Senior Director of Portfolio Growth Marketing for Kapoor Capital, the Chief Executive Officer for Profits of AI, Matthew Shavira, Senior Editor for Forbes, Jabari Young, and a fabulous moderator, CEO of Gant Media, Essence Gant. Please give them a big round of applause and your full attention. They're going to be fabulous.
Amazing. Hello, everyone. We made it. This is the last panel of the day. Give yourselves a round of applause. Shake it out. We're almost there. I am so delighted to be having this conversation. No pressure. We're after Bishop T.D. Jakes. Hopefully he left some anointing on the stage to be with us. And I am so excited to have this conversation with such a diverse group of talent, because I think that often we are left out of the conversation, specifically relating to tech, and it is absolutely vital that our voices are there and that our talent is there and our minds are there. So thank you all so much for joining us and offering your expertise. Yes, you can clap for them. That's fine. I want to talk about AI specifically as a catalyst for economic empowerment. And all of you, just feel free to jump in if there's anything that speaks to you. But how can this technology be specifically tailored to address the unique challenges faced by underserved communities? And if any of you have any successful examples of this or any anecdotes, we would love to hear it.
I can definitely start with that. I think one of the things that we do at AI for the People is what we call responsible AI, ethical AI. You've been hearing about that on the stage a lot. And we will go into companies and look at products and think about how can they better serve Black communities. So one of the things that we were involved in last year, 2 years ago, was with working with Google Real Tone, which is basically a filter on their phone that makes it easier to recognize Black skin. Therefore, when you take your picture, you're not too dark, you're not too shiny, you can really glow with that. And one of the things that was so interesting about that particular use case was that Android phone ended up being the best-selling Android phone that Google had ever had ever produced. And one of the reasons that it sold so well was the engineering of the camera was actually better. And because it works so well on Black skin, it opens up new markets in sub-Saharan Africa and other Black territories where the company were not necessarily looking. And so when we think at AI for the People about AI entrepreneurship in Black communities, we're always thinking about what are the problems that we want to solve within Black communities? What are the engineering and research questions do we want to ask? And then how do we capitalize to go towards that solution?
I love that. And you had me at glowy because I love a good selfie. So
Oh my God.
I'm already sold.
Yes.
Does anyone else have anything to contribute?
Yeah, sure. I could probably add to that. My name is Matthew Shavira, and I'm the CEO of Profits of AI. It's a talent representation agency for individuals who have made significant contributions to the field of artificial intelligence. And it's really incredible because I get to be part of each of their individual movements that they're focused on. And one individual specifically is an official ambassador for OpenAI. And the ambassador program is comprised of 11 individuals who have been there since the beginning of OpenAI and all of their ambitious projects that they're overseeing. And each of the ambassadors focus specifically on a certain trajectory within OpenAI. And one individual that I have the privilege of representing is focused on their ed tech. And he's someone who grew up in New Jersey, and he's a Black and brown community, and he saw some of the problems that existed there as far as access to education and being able to communicate that to his community. He developed his program, and it's really been remarkable to watch him develop that over time.
I'm glad you touched on that, Matthew, because I do think, like, as we're having this conversation specifically relating to underserved communities, there is a conversation around access and education.
Mm-hmm.
So do any of you have any insight on how do we bridge this gap, and exactly how does the role of education and accessibility come into play?
Yeah, I can take that one. One of the things that, there's a lot of talk around fear in AI. How many people are afraid of AI? I'm actually more afraid of us not learning AI. And I spoke at a nonprofit in Oakland, California for underserved youth that use hip hop as therapy. And so we went around a circle with the 20 kids, and, before I gave my speech, and I said, how do you guys feel about AI? And everybody was, I don't touch it. I'm scared of it. I don't want to see it. The robots are coming to take over. And I was like, well, let me just give you my perspective on it. And I'll give you 50 different tools, AI tools that you can use in your daily life. And so I gave my presentation, and after, they were like, oh my God, I had no idea that I could do these things. And I was showing them even how they can use AI to upload their raps and their songs that they've written, to get AI to learn their voice and their tone to write another song for them, so that they don't have to write that song. Or if they get stuck on the line, it can write that line. And, showing them how it can edit videos with just one click. And by the end of the day, they were loving AI. So switching that fear to, it's more fearful to not learn, because AI is coming and it's here to stay. And I have this quote where it's like, AI is not going to replace humans, but humans who know how to use AI are going to replace humans.
Oh, wow.
So we
That's
really
good.
need to learn this. And, I just talked to the director of the program, and he said, the kids are now talking about, when they go through their day, they're saying, oh, no, we can use AI for this. Do we have a budget for it? Because, the other thing is AI is pretty cheap. Tools are only $5, $15. ChatGPT is only $20, or they have a free version as well. So this is pretty much the time where the playing field is now level.
But one of the things that I would add to that is that AI isn't in the future. If you have a smartphone, there are elements of the smartphone that are already, if you open it with your face, for example, that's an AI algorithm doing that. If you're using social media, that's AI doing that. If you drive an electric car, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I also think just letting people know that we are already using it, as TD Jakes was saying, we're just not necessarily designing it. And that's where educational access becomes really important. Because when I think of my own product design journey, it's really grounded in the fact that I had strong K through 12 education, that I then was able to go on to college and then go to some of the best graduate schools where you can learn these habits of mind. But I think in Black communities, one of the things that's really powerful is that we just have to do things a bit differently. Not everybody is going to Stanford. So I think we need to adopt an each one, teach one.
Yes.
And as long as you have the intellectual capital, if you have the imagination, then we can also start to design and start to make not just thousands of dollars, but millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and hopefully trillions of dollars of value if we just think about bringing each other in and making sure that we're all in the conversation at the table when these products are being made and decisions are being made.
Yeah, I'm monitoring it differently. I just look at my 10-year-old daughter and see how she's using it, right? Because you guys are all the experts, right? I was telling y'all in the back, and as a journalist, I'm enjoying the education of artificial intelligence. I'm enjoying to see where it's going. A lot of times I think we can get so caught up in trying to predict things instead of sitting down, studying it, watching it, learning it, and then kind of maneuvering. So I'm watching to see how my 10-year-old uses it. I was able to go to Amazon in Seattle. They flew a bunch of journalists out there to see what's behind the scenes at their research and development, to see what the big companies are doing with it. And there's a whole bunch of lanes that I think AI is going and artificial intelligence is going to be masterful at, right? Translation, call centers, again, content. Like, But right now, I think I'm just kind of enjoying the process of it because there's so much information out there, and tomorrow is going to be different. Looking at where it is right now, looking at how the young people are using it, because they're the ones who are going to dictate this, right? As you become an adult, you get stubborn. We're stuck in our ways, right? We don't change. Kids are adapting like that. So I think I'm just kind of enjoying the education process.
The one thing I will say is that the underlying engineering is the same.
Yeah.
The name is just different.
Absolutely.
I've been doing this for 15 years, so I always tell people I am not new to this. I am true to this.
Yeah.
We've called it big data. We've called it, now we're speaking about AI. We're looking at quantum. It's all the same engineering. So I think not trying to make it like it's this big thing that we don't know. No, we're just not we just don't have the cheat code. All you need is to give people the cheat code.
And I don't even know if it's a cheat code, because at that same spot in Amazon, I was asking that guy, there was a whole bunch of engineers there, and they were showing us these new drones, right? These drones are going to deliver packages to your house, shoe size packages. And they come down, and if they sense any human beings, they fly away. They do not drop the package,
Same
right?
Engineering, different.
And I said, listen, I'm looking at all this tech. If I'm in front of a 5th grade class, what do I tell these kids about what to look forward to career-wise? He said engineering.
But you
stay in school, but definitely engineering.
But you don't only have to do engineering. Yeah. We need social scientists. We need artists. We need business people. We need everybody needs to be in this conversation, because when you develop a product, if you just develop a product with a bunch of engineers, it's going to hurt Black people. You need other people in the room with other perspectives to bring that to market. And that's what I think is very exciting about this audience. And I don't want us to go away and be like, we only need to code or we only need engineering. No, we need every single person in the conversation contributing, but more than contributing, developing the IPs so that you can make the money.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most interested in.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's a really critical point that you bring up, because the decisions that are made when these companies are designing their products and releasing them to the public carry an incredible amount of weight attached to them. And one of the individuals that I represent holds a title of the executive consultant on philosophical matters for Apple. So anytime Apple is considering, developing or releasing a product or integrating it, they consult and they make sure that this product is something that's going to follow all of these long-standing and newly developed ethical guidelines.
Yeah. And I think this conversation that you touched on about making sure that we're in the rooms, that we all have a seat at the table, and Bishop Jake spoke a little bit about this earlier. Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. And I do think, though, that while that's amazing, there are still these very specific challenges that we face, and also, other entrepreneurs of color, anyone from underserved communities. So I would really love to know from any of you, how can we use AI as a tool to leverage more opportunities, to make it a little bit easier for us? And also, what does that support look like for us? What do we need to succeed? Somebody said, yeah.
I can start on that. The way I look at AI is that it is your universal personal intern. It is super smart.
I love that.
And it's free, right? Sometimes you can pay a little bit of money for some more features, but the basics of it is free. So if you have something so smart that's free, the possibilities are endless. I had a friend of mine who I went to school with, high school with. I developed this little course on how to create an avatar. And because everybody kept asking me, so I said, let me put it together in the course. And she hit me up about 3 weeks later, and she said, do you know I've started a business creating avatars off of your course?
Wow.
And I'm like, you need to pay me some money for that.
Yeah.
I need a cut of that.
Royalties.
But there are so many opportunities to make money in AI. The other thing I'll give you as a tip in terms of using AI is that the way I use it is like, anytime that I'm stuck in my day and there's something that I don't want to do, I don't know how to do, it's just getting too complicated, I always think about how can AI help? For example, I might be writing an email and I'm like, I just don't feel like writing it. I'll go to ChatGPT. Can you write an email introducing this person to this person? Boom, it's done. And so anytime you get stuck in your day, you should really turn to AI. And that's a way to get this use case, because it's going to get easier and easier and easier over time to utilize AI.
I think as well, just as on a practical matter, like even before I came on stage, a bunch of people had found out that I was going to be here, and then they looked at me on LinkedIn and sent me messages. Hopefully, if you're here, I look forward to meeting you. But that's a really good example of how you can use AI just to figure out who's in the space, right? Yes. You can go to search engines, put Black people in, put AI. I was at a panel this last week, and apparently if you put my name into ChatGTP, or if you say AI ethicist in ChatGTP, I come up, and Bard as well. So the discoverability. I think another way, though, that we can get access is to go back to what I just said previously. Think about a problem that you don't want to solve yourself and then design towards it. You are already thinking like an AI engineer. And that's the way that you can kind of get towards the business. And then I think your incredible work at KPOR and other big VC and venture firms for people who are a little bit further along that actually do look for Black women, do look for Black entrepreneurs, and are looking for solutions to help not just drive their business forward, but our communities forward as well.
Yeah, piggyback off of that. I mean, you know, when I get pitched on companies, or they've had, you know, this amazing AI idea, they'll send me this pitch about all. I ignore the ones that doesn't solve a problem. Right. You want ones that solve a problem. Anybody can go and, you know, it's a great tool to use to make music and do it, but I'm looking for those ones that solve problems, right? And if you can solve a serious human being problem, right, then I think those will be the best, you know, AI companies, and those will be the ones that, you know, there'll be a company or a tool, and if they're a tool, they make a lot of money because they'll get purchased by the open AIs of the world, right? And so I think solving a problem, whatever that problem may be, those are the ones going to be the best companies.
Right. Do any of you, and this is our last question before we wrap up, but do any of you have do you recommend any tools, any resources for people in underserved communities, and even people like myself, because I'm a beginner, and you asked earlier, like, who's scared of AI? And I was like, me, I'm moderating this, but I'm still scared. So like,
I've been in this, I'm still scared.
You're still scared. So what tools and resources are available to us to make it a little bit less intimidating, to teach us more, to make it more digestible?
Google.com.
Yes.
I mean, it's all in there, right?
Yeah. And YouTube too.
Yeah, YouTube.
So what I would say is, if anybody's really trying to learn AI, the first thing you should do is just get a ChatGPT account and start playing around with it. That's like hands down first thing. If you have $20 a month.
Can I just say, as a Google partner, Bard
or Bard.
There is Bard.
Or Bard.
And also Bard.
Bard needs to be thrown in there.
Yeah, there's Claude, Bard just came, or Gemini that just came out. I know you guys coming out with that. So, you know, start playing around with a large language model, LLM. And the second thing is, over the last year, I've basically looked at probably 2,000-3,000 AI tools, and every single day on social media, I showcase a new AI tool. I'm probably at 200 right now. You guys can check that out. I have a newsletter that every single week I find the best 5 AI tools out of the 200 that came out that week, and I release that every single Monday. And that is mtysk.com. mtysk.com. That's marketing tools you should know. And you guys can follow me on social every single day. And I even use AI to write the scripts, write the captions, and even deliver the content.
And the thing I would say as well is figure out what your core competency is, and then get in where you fit in. So I know, for example, AI for the People does a lot of policy advisory work. So after ChatGTP commercialized, we found ourselves in DC a lot, and we're looking, whether it's looking at election integrity and how is social media going to show up in our elections, and is it going to stop Black people from voting? Whether it's we've been in the Schumer panels. These are non-technical AI jobs that I think people can do without being engineers, and we need to remember that 50% of all the revenue driven is going to be from people from non-engineering backgrounds.
Wow.
So if you have a particular talent, a particular interest, but you can think about how it can be applied to the issues of AI today, you are in AI. And then you're going to find that your fees are higher, if you're a W-2 person, that you get paid more, and your voice will be more amplified. So think beyond the box as well.
And I'm paying attention to those companies too, just to kind of stay true to our host, John Hope Bryant, right? Those ones that are combining AI with financial literacy. There's a sister out there, her name is Tanya Van Court, has an app called Goal Setter, phenomenal piece of technology. And I know she uses a piece of AI to help train kids about financial literacy, right? Answering questions about if you don't answer the right question, financial literacy, you don't get the allowance that week, right? It's those type of things that I think are going to drive the future to eliminate the financial literacy problems we might still have, especially in our communities, and also make a difference in the world. So, you know, kudos to those type of platforms that are coming out in the future.
But very, very last on that point, also think big. Like one of the things that we do and we're looking at doing is developing IP. So the thing is, when you hold the intellectual property, you can license it, you can sell it, you can add it. There's so many different ways of making money from that very small tool, from IP that isn't just a one-stop shop. So I think even educating ourselves at the way the rich think, as TD Jakes was saying, how can your money make money? Think about how can your ideas make money? And that really puts you in, I think, an AI mindset.
And I'll leave with this point. You know, when the tractor was developed, there were a lot of people that were like, man, screw that tractor, right? But then there was one guy who was like, I'm going to go learn how to drive that tractor. And he took everybody's jobs. And that's what AI is. It's time to go learn how to drive the tractor because it's coming for us.
Yeah. And on that point, if you're looking for a resource, another point would be Moojan Asghari, someone who I represent in. She is the co-founder of Women in AI. It's an organization dedicated towards facilitating more women to join the fields, STEM fields that have been traditionally male-dominated in the past, and enabling them to just communicate about it more, find careers in it, career placement opportunities. It's really a remarkable organization, and it's really blowing up right now.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for your expertise. I learned a lot. I hope you all learned a lot. And thanks for staying and hanging out with us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Weren't they fabulous? Give them another round of applause. Those of you who stayed heard a great conversation. That wraps it up for the Hope Global Forum. This day 2. Come back tomorrow for more fabulous conversations. Thank you for being here. Good night.